Skate! Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday the 19th of December 2010. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, Robert Kemp.
I totally should have jumped in with or die.
And Zachary Burgess.
That would have been a really poor joke.
Well, it's not really a joke anyway, but skate or die.
Oh, skate or die. Yeah, you see. What kind of fish is skate anyway?
It's like Tony Hawk's with gills.
Tony Hawk, pro skate fishing. That'd be amazing. So welcome to our
actually on that subject. On that subject, do you think they could make an extreme fishing game?
Well, they try and make it as extreme as possible, don't they? I presume
Fish!
Bass Hunter or whatever, the Sega ones, they're not like super in depth. They're arcadey, as it were.
Because fish are super frequent.
Yeah, well,
I can't remember what it says when you get like a bass on the line, but it's something ridiculous, like suddenly like fish or on. Or
you're thinking of Twilight Princess, where it's fish on.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Man, I love fishing in Zelda. That's the only fishing game I know of, like the one in Ocarina, trying to get the Hylian loach, which I don't think I ever managed to get. You have to cheat to get that, don't you? You have to use the.
You have to find the illegal lure. It's not really cheating.
Where is the illegal lure?
It's hidden in the, around the edge of the pond or something, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
If I remember correctly. But even with that, it's still really difficult.
Yeah. I don't know, because you can see it without being able to catch it, can't you? Because it's huge.
Yeah.
Is that right? The actual Hylian loach itself. I got some pretty big ones, but I never got that thing. These days, there'd be an achievement attached to it. That'd be pretty good if Ocarina at the time had
or if Nintendo in general embraced the achievement thing.
Yeah, well, they ought to, because like nobody really bothered with the Skulltula things. If that had an achievement attached to it that was like 100G, everyone would go crazy to get the 100 Skulltulas. Is that what
Which one was that from?
That's Ocarina as well.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, Skulltula, that makes more sense. More like Tarantula, because they're like spiders, aren't they?
Yeah.
But you got the rewards from that weird house of Skulltula in Carico Village, don't you?
I can't take that name seriously. There's something about Skulltula that just sort of like B-movie rip-off.
Skulltula, yeah. Well, Octoroks and things are quite strange. Skulltula's almost...
Yeah, Octorok is a fairly okay name.
Yeah,
better than like.
Well, Like-Likes are the best, though. They're really scary as well. Not because they're going to kill you, but because they eat your equipment, and you can never get it back, can you?
Depends on the game.
Well, which game is it?
Sometimes you just kill them and the shield pops back out. It's just like, okay, pick it up again.
Yeah, that's not quite so scary, is it? Anyway, so yes, getting close to Christmas. We're still thinking about categories for our game of the year, but that will come next time, I think. Is that right?
That'll actually happen. Yeah. I think the plan is as we do it as the last possible episode of the year. Therefore, there's absolutely no question that it is the game of 2010 because there are no more games.
The Happy Salad game of 2010. Yeah, so
it's the most coveted title since the Channel 4 isn't E4's Idiots Awards.
I've not come across those. What are they?
They're literally exactly what it says on the tin. It's one of those terrible sort of let's try and make internet fads fashionable by having a fake award show, and we'll host it by Russell Kane and pad it out with terrible links and extreme lingering sort of ident screens.
Oh,
it's like he comes up with a big screen that says like the fashion idiot of the year or something, and then hangs there for a good 10 seconds, and then moves on. It's like, yeah, all right, then get on with it. I just want to see the funny videos.
It's always a disaster when the mainstream TV, tries to leverage free meme content from the internet, because memes don't work on TV.
Well, the bit that gets memes on TV is one thing, but just general sort of clip shows on TV anyway? Where did the whole idea of the you need a presenter for one of these things really came from? Maybe someone talking over on the occasion to explain the video, but why do you need like a cutaway to some dude in a studio going, this next video is great, check it out, or whatever, and they're making terrible jokes, because they're always the worst bit of the show.
Because that was from the time when it was all like actual tapes and they had studio audiences come and watch this.
Well, I guess back in the day of It'll Be Alright on the Night, where... Oh yeah, where someone, or It'll Be Alright on the Night, where someone actually had to play the VTs or something out to a live show. But why does it still need to exist? Even You've Been Framed have got it right now, and that they don't actually have those links per se. They're very quick.
Do they not have a set anymore?
No, it's all just a very quick ident video with Harry Hill sort of introducing the next section, but incredibly briefly, and then they just get to the videos. Yeah.
The worst thing I saw like the other week when that was on. Well, sort of before. It was basically the worst ridiculous bit of scheduling ever. Where before You've Been Framed, there was basically another clip show that was exactly like You've Been Framed, apart from with a presenter. Then there was You've Been Framed with Harry Hill, and then after that, Harry Hill's TV Burp. It's like, why haven't you just shown the same show 3 times in a row, basically?
Those last two are
a bit different. Slightly.
Yeah, they always do those last two in that order. But
it's
don't
like
know about the show
same presenter guy. Well,
yeah, but TV Burp is awesome.
You seem to have run really badly out of ideas.
They still give out the same.
It's like You've Been Framed was sort of the mash between those two, where it's just like it shifted subtly from one to the other by changing the presenter.
It's more than that, Dan. You get like 250 quid per entry or something that makes it onto the show. Yeah.
And you can send like shitty iPhone videos or whatever, which are like terrible quality.
So if you have some hilarious clip, don't put it on YouTube, right?
Yeah, because you won't make any money. It's like, send it to You've Been Framed first, see if they show it, and if they don't, then put it on YouTube.
Then put it on YouTube and then get 50 million views or whatever.
Top tips for the recession.
Tips for
Don't
recession.
YouTube it.
Stage some ridiculous accident that would never actually happen, where someone falls on their arse. And then,
some of them are completely staged, is the thing. They're so obvious when they are as well, and it's like, but we'll still put it on. Like, bless them for trying. It's like, no, kill them for trying. They should have actually died in this do not try it at home stunt.
It's like all those stupid programs where they're just like, we're going to make a program out of showing clips from YouTube on TV. It's like, there should be royalties for that shit. It's like, if you're going to take my video from YouTube and put it on TV without my permission, give me money.
Yeah.
But those shows are always terrible, disproportionately compared to just watching the videos themselves. For some reason it like lowers the enjoyment of the actual videos.
Well, it doesn't help that inevitably by the time they make it onto a TV show, it's like, that's really old for the internet. It's like, that's been around for months.
Yeah.
Million years old and everyone has seen it.
Man, that was literally the worst when that one made it through, and it was like, that's literally years old.
Yeah. That was like that RudeTube did one of their seasons had, like, because they usually count them down as in the most viewed during the last season or something, and Keyboard Cat was up there because it was like the first one they did or something. And
because there'd been like a mini Keyboard Cat revival on the internet beforehand.
Yeah.
It was like,
Keyboard Cat revival.
Well done, TV program. You made yourself look really out of date.
But that's the thing. Maybe they put it on TV to appeal to people that wouldn't have seen them on the internet.
Yes, but then they shouldn't do a countdown of like most viewed. Then they should actually, just get the good ones.
TV people should focus on making TV so good that it becomes a viral YouTube video. Like today, there's a new Lonely Island video today. I mean, that's how you do it, right?
Lonely Island.
The Dick in the Box or whatever.
Right, yeah.
The new one is a song and it's called "I Just Had Sex" and it's got Akon. I just had sex like that.
And I think, but the problem is that if Akon did it, I'm not entirely sure I'd find that funny because I'd think it would be Akon singing one of his normal songs.
Yeah, it's quite similar to his normal songs, but then it has the comedy guys rapping as well. It's just like "I'm on a Boat," which had T-Pain.
I'm on a boat.
Yeah, but this one's got Akon. Anyway.
But yeah,
Internet's
I'll say there's
extinction
something about Akon where I can't take anything he says as comedy, especially after releasing Smack That.
It's like that.
All on the floor, smack that till you get sore. It's just, how did that ever make the Radio 1 playlist through
like
the middle of the day?
Chris Rock, his latest show, he's talking about rap and how it used to be easy to defend rap because it was easy to explain why like Grandmaster Flash was art or whatever. But now it's all really bass and I don't know. I can't remember what. Yeah, I don't mean bassy. I mean
dirty bit.
Like I don't know. Anyway,
speaking of like things.
Basically.
Oh, I move bitch. That was his example. Move bitch, get out the way. How do you defend that as art? Oh.
Yeah, exactly. There's not music as art anymore, is it? When you're doing that, it's like. Have you heard? I don't know if this is related or not. Really, I'm in two minds. But have you heard the single from the Black Eyed Peas? The remix of "I've Had the Time of My Life."
Luckily not. I'm sure that'll be everywhere before long.
It's really weird because it's half a remix of that, half an electro beat song. Just like the best bit is where it sort of like builds up to something and then just goes dirty bit, and then weird beats come in.
Black Eyed Peas are really strange because they seem to oscillate between stuff I can't stand and stuff that I think is actually quite good pop.
Yeah, tell me about it. Boom Boom Pow, excellent.
Boom Boom Pow.
Most of this,
really
we already
sweet.
heard this in another podcast. Moving on.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up.
Moving on to computer games anyway. That's 10 minutes of nothing. Why, do you want to talk about the Black Eyed Peas?
I don't know, I was enjoying this side.
I was desperate.
Yeah, Black Eyed Peas. They're my life. They're what make me tick, for good and for bad.
No, but Boom Boom Power is a great song, and then you've got...
It is excellent. And then, like...
My Humps or whatever is absolutely dreadful. And
but
dark.
weirdly, I quite like
just
that.
started up this conversation again. Shut the fuck up.
Okay. Bye, Zachary.
I think Zach is allergic to My Humps.
I don't think
Oh, but that's another story.
Oh, man.
And in the game.
My humps, my humps, my humps. My lovely lady loves.
Do you have an album of the year?
Did you
There's been a
purchase
lot of
any
good-
music this year? I guess
There's
it's
a fuck ton of good stuff this year, I swear.
There has been a good year, actually. I'm having a think. I'm thinking it's probably Pendulum for me.
Okay.
Because, to be honest, they've never really made a bad album. And Immersion is just more awesome. It's pretty damn sweet. Although I can't remember, was The Dead Weather released this year? Because I really like that as well.
Well, there's actually a second Dead Weather album. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Oh, bugger.
That's definitely this year. So I presume...
Maybe that's the one I've been listening to. I don't know, I can't remember.
What's it got on the front cover? Has it got like African mask weirdness and...
I don't know, I've got the MP3s.
Or is it like half
never-
face of...
I never look at my player when it's running.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's that one. I don't think it's the new one. Bugger.
Sorry,
I
it
just
isn't the new
I just
one.
looked it up. It's not that one.
The previous one's probably better anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's not album of this year then.
No, but pretty good.
Ellipse was pretty good from Imogen Heap. That's
oh yeah,
I quite like that.
I really like the LCD sound system this year, which is apparently the last one he's going to do. But it was so good. Definitely listen to that if you haven't heard it.
Nope, I haven't heard that one. I will do.
And there's a guy who goes by the name Caribou, and he had another album this year called Swim with a really nice cover as well. But that's amazing, so check that out. Albums of the year on this gaming podcast. There's actually a whole bunch of things. There's a new Sufjan Stevens and a new who are the Scottish Bell and Sebastian album this year, which is pretty good. It wasn't any last year, so for indie, if you like indie pop, then it's been a good year.
Raconteurs, didn't they have an album this year as well?
Don't think so.
Or was that released late last year? Because I remember it because it was on the soundtrack to Zombieland, which was an awesome film.
Oh, I watched that the other day.
Isn't it like the most amazing film? It's one of the best films.
It's like an American Shaun of the Dead, but like better.
Actually funny.
It's actually amazing.
The problem is there are so many bits you want to talk about it, but it's just you can't really, because it's the main spoiler is just amazing.
Well, Bill Murray, that's amazing, obviously.
Yeah. And that's kind of one of the main spoilers I didn't really want to go into. But
well, it's not. He's on the poster, isn't he?
Is he?
Well, I think so. Yeah, his name. You can't not advertise by saying that's not spoiling it to say that Bill Murray's in it.
Well,
I mean,
no, but
it's got Woody Harrelson,
the capacity of which,
and obviously, and the guy from The Social Network. That's why I watched it, because I really liked The Social Network, and I thought he was good. So I thought I'll watch some of his other films. And Zombieland, really good. And oh my god, that Emma Stone is so hot. Sorry, I kind of appreciate it on that level. Yeah, pretty much. I don't normally care about that sort of thing in films. Like I don't care if it's
totally helps. Well, actually,
yeah,
if while we're distracted from games, let's think. Yeah. It's been it's actually been one hell of a year for films. If you think about it, there's been more films this year that I've really liked than I can actually care to remember.
It has been really good.
Book of Eli, one of my top tips. Went to see Unstoppable the other day, which was fantastic. The Inception, obviously. Scott Pilgrim!
And just on the sort of baseline normal blockbusters, you've had Toy Story 3 and...
Oh, yes, that as well. Yeah, I forgot about that.
You know, new Harry Potter. Well, not that was amazing, but,
Was Up this year as well?
Yeah. No, that was definitely last year.
No.
Up's been out for a while, because Up came out in America like a year before it came out in Britain. I don't know why.
Okay.
It's one of those, yeah. Because that was one of the earliest that you could see in 3D, I think. If not...
Well, maybe they didn't release over here because, 3D equipment probably didn't get to cinemas that fast over here.
Yeah, and maybe that's it. Maybe they were waiting for the digital cinema so that they could release it in 3D. That's probably it. That's probably the reason.
My other top tip, don't see Narnia in 3D.
Oh, okay.
It's fucking awful. The 3D of it is just, it's a 2D to 3D conversion, and it's terrible.
Interesting. I've never seen a 2D 3D conversion, and I don't intend to ever pay money to see the 2D to 3D conversion. So that probably means that I will never see one.
Yeah, I didn't really. Unlimited cards.
Although I suppose the next Harry Potter might be it will be, won't it? That'll be.
Yeah, I will probably just outright say no to watching that in 3D because so far I've not seen a good 2D to 3D conversion. I mean, Alice in Wonderland wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either.
I mean, it's quite heartening that they did at least, because obviously they were going to release this part 1 of the Deathly Hallows in 3D, and they said no, we can't do it to high enough quality levels. We're just going to say we won't bother. With this one, and then we'll have both of them in 3D. So at least that means that they take it seriously. But I still think no matter how much effort you put into a conversion,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. It doesn't matter how much time you spend on it. You might as well model the whole film in CG.
Yeah, I actually still don't know how they.
Shot.
I actually still don't know how they do it. There are companies out there that claim, and a couple of guys I work with have seen this tech in action, where they're trying to push a box and TV combo that can actually do 2D to 3D conversion on the fly, and apparently the effect wasn't bad. And I'm like, what the hell? How is that even possible?
I suppose
it's like some kind of scene analysis, or like
crazy.
I
mean, I guess. If you did it, it would be really lame, but you could probably make it work simply just by doing a sort of image analysis that gives you.
But that kind of stuff, you'd imagine it would take time to work out what is actually foreground, what is the room in the background, for instance, like how the perspective of the room changes. How can you do that 25 times a second, or 24 even for film? It just sounds a ridiculous processing task.
Maybe it just. Maybe for complex scenes, it just leaves it flat, and then if there are things that it thinks are people, it moves them in front of things that it thinks are room. I don't know. Even so, I don't know. It just sounds.
Well, actually, some of the tricks of 3D are not actually to make it come out of the screen in depth. Just use 3D cues. So, make something a bit bigger than it would normally be, or make something. Well, actually, one of the more interesting examples is There was the hamster film G-Force earlier in the year. It might have been last year actually.
Film.
The hamster film, yeah. It was a typical animated basis featuring not hamsters, sorry, guinea pigs. That's why it's a G. I get it. That was filmed in 3D.
H-Force would be about something else, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Preparation H. It could have been, it was quite good because they used interesting tricks, but they made the frame of the movie smaller than normal, and so when stuff was when they wanted an extreme 3D effect, they broke the frame, so things would come out around the edges of the screen, and that would sort of, if it would look like it's further forward than the cinema screen without actually too much 3D effect being applied. Which is kind of clever, I thought. Bits of glass coming out of the screen and actually coming out of the screen. It's kind of cool. Nice idea.
Almost worth seeing a film about CGI guinea pigs.
Well, sort of.
Yeah,
it's not great.
Anyway, video games, gentlemen.
Hello.
I think we had better move on. I've just noticed that it's recording in stereo, I think, which doesn't explain why it didn't record in stereo the last time. Mysterious. Anyway, so Magic.
I've got a new contender for worst name of a game released this year.
Oh yeah.
I've just come across Pirates Plunder.
Plunder.
That's not terrible. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that's all right. If that was a phone app or something, I'd probably go for that. Plunder.
Okay. Plunder. What do you find? Like, you plunder something and all you find in it is more pirates.
Or just a big pile of R's.
Yeah, it's a giant dictionary with only the definitions of R.
R.
Plunder R. And admittedly it's not plund R. But
steering this Christmas Crimbo podcast back onto video gaming.
Could make a pirate-themed version of R-Type using similar, or anything that begins with R. You can make pirate-themed R-based games.
Ridge Racer R-Type.
Yeah, Plunder type, or Sonic R.
Sonic R.
That would be
That'd be
awesome
amazing. What else has R in it? Ridge Racer R4.
Sonic R would be like you take the evil pirate guys from like Sonic what the fuck is it called on the DS?
Rush.
Sonic Rush Adventure 2. 1. Sonic fucking
Rush
name your games
2.
with numbers, you bastards. Sonic Rush Adventure.
Yes.
Take the evil pirate guys from that.
Oh, you mean the
and put them
BioWare
into a Sonic R style
that
game.
that turned out to be crap, right?
No, that was something else. No, Sonic Rush Adventure was the sequel to Sonic Rush, so it was actually a it was just a bad name.
What was the Sonic RPG? I mean, it's a terrible idea.
I can't remember actually
on paper, but anyway. The less said about most Sonic games, the better, really. But Sonic Rush Adventure was alright. Yeah. Sonic R.
R.
So, Zachary Burgess, what have you been playing this week? The past 2 weeks.
Stuff.
Excellent.
Tell me more. Lots of old stuff, and then like a couple of new things. So I guess we start with the new things, as usual.
Okay.
I guess the first thing to say is, God damn it, Steam, stop having sales. Like, not even the Christmas sale.
Yeah, damn those convenient money-saving bastards.
Well, but it's not really money-saving because they've been real bastards and then like linked their sales into basically achievements. Well, sort of achievements. Well, and achievements.
Yes.
It's basically they've created like a meta game, this treasure hunt thing, where if you have certain achievements in certain games, which are conveniently discounted during this sale, then you get like entries into this prize draw or whatever.
Those bastards, they're so clever.
Yeah, so it's like, God damn it. And this isn't even Christmas sale yet, because once it gets past Christmas and into whatever January when they actually do their sale, assuming they will do one, it'll be like,
January
God
sale.
damn it.
Yeah,
because that's what they did last time, wasn't it? Where it was like, holy fuck, everything is so cheap.
That's what started all this off, really. is that they had ridiculous sale last year, and now they've got to match that, and they have, and more.
Well,
they've been doing it all
I don't
year.
think they have
yet.
yet.
Occasional sale, isn't there? But
Well,
they'll get there though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this run up to Christmas treasure hunt linked to achievements thing. There was various games that were getting cheaper. Not any. Well, I don't know. The ones that got discounted a lot were like, you know, the indie games and stuff, where it's like 75% off, and then you've got like Civ 5 turned up and it was only like 20% off. It was like, well, I already own that anyway, so I don't care.
Oh, speaking of which, I heard they patched it to like fix the AI or the other day or something.
Well, apparently, according to the patch notes, but I haven't played it again since, so I don't know. And they still haven't actually. That's like they patched a bunch of stuff in diplomacy to make it less shit, but then they said like, but this is like we're not done with this yet, and then everyone was like, why are you? How is this taking so long? So yeah, more Civ 5
Well, it's stuff
patches
that they
coming.
should have done when they were developing the damn game, really. I mean,
Yeah, basically. At least it's an expansion.
that's true. It's true. I'm sure their expansion's coming though.
They already
they've
are.
released several DLC things, but
Yeah, that's the deal.
It's super crap and super ridiculous. You know, again, stuff that they shouldn't really expect you to pay for because they're just maps.
well, there is one of the DLC packs actually has like 2 new civs in, which is
Wow.
sort of less shit. Sort of less shit. I think it has civs and maps actually. In case you need more of that, you might as well. But I mean, they made mod support anyway, so I'm sure you could just get mod made maps and civs and anything else you could possibly want, providing people are still making mods, which I assume they are, because everyone likes making civ mods. Anyway, back to what the fuck I was talking about in the first place before we got ridiculously off topic, or not really off topic, sidetracked.
Yes.
Silence.
Back to that. Back
I'll
to
just keep
that.
talking. Yeah, so the new game that I got, one new game out of this whole sale, was Shatter, which is basically a breakout game, but a kind of crazy, weird, crazy particle effects and explosions. Yeah, it's a game.
It's an
It's an indie game.
crazy. Right. Okay. Graphicked up breakout clone.
Yeah, it sort of has elements from that old sort of tech demo Plasma Pong as well, where it's like you can you can propel the ball away from you or suck it in using like the wafting ability.
Is it better than Arkanoid 2: Revenge of Doe? Was the question.
Nothing is better than Arkanoid 2.
That's true. That's true. How does
So,
it
yeah.
compare to Arkanoid 2: Revenge of Doe?
I don't know. It's kind of. I think they maybe tried to wedge too many different like mechanics into the same game, because it's like you got your breakout, the standard breakout, ball and bricks, and then various kinds of bricks and stuff, and then you've got your plasma pong wafting the ball to change its trajectory, and that also affects some of the bricks as well, stuff like that. But then you've also got like when you break the bits, little bits come out, which is obviously why it's called Shatter. Little bits of stuff come out, and then if you suck those into your pad, it like upgrades your multiplier and like charges your power gauge. And then if your power gauge gets full, you can launch like basically a giant missile attack that just destroys everything, destroys tons of stuff. Or you can use that power to like charge your shield, and then if you're sucking bits in when you've got your shield on, instead of going into you, they bounce off you and turn into more bullets. It's like, this is getting a bit complicated.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot to. Although,
and all that time you're trying to keep your eye on the actual ball so you don't lose it.
I guess there's not a lot to the core of Breakout, there is there? It's just left, right. So
No.
there's room to pile a few things on, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a bit crazy, but I mean, it's pretty awesome, and it was hella cheap, so it's just like, oh, this is... And it even has, like, pointless co-op modes, which I can't play because Rob doesn't have it.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Well, it'll probably be about 20p in the Steam sale, so
Yeah,
come
presumably.
January. Oh, dear.
It was only, like, £1.75 or something.
I was kind of holding off to buy, like, a graphics card in because I was thinking January sales, right?
Yeah.
But I've just realised that VAT goes up to 20% on the 4th of January, so everything will actually get a lot more expensive. So I might as well order it now.
Yeah, you're pretty much better off buying now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's going to fuck up the January sales for everyone, really, isn't it? That's
Yep,
going to be kind
basically.
of confusing.
January sales are going to be the January shits.
Because you get
Does
VAT
that affect
on Steam games, surely.
Well,
So,
presumably, yeah.
so that will fuck those up as well. And not for the Americans, but for us, it's probably cheaper to buy your game now.
I wonder if that
We
means
could
if
always-
prices will actually go up or that they'll stay to normal values though, because like in terms of games they always try and hit a nice sounding figure, don't they? Like £35.
Yeah, that depends on
or...
the policy of the. But apparently, according to I was reading a news article about retailers in general, not games, and it said that they were kind of waiting for an excuse to put up their prices anyway. So instead of they're going to round up from the new price rather than rounding down. You see what I mean? So if something's something's 20 quid, and the VAT now makes it 22 quid.
News just in: 2011 will suck.
Yeah. Well,
What
you
you
know,
need
what
to
do you
do for
expect?
Steam
You're voting the
is-
Tories. What do you expect? And anyway.
What you need to do for Steam is use the Steam price comparison website and then get some friends in Europe and America to buy shit for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
idea.
I bought a game for someone where the UK price was cheaper, and it's like, here you go, I'll buy this for you because it's cheaper here. That was when Civ 5 came out. It turned out the UK price was cheaper than the EU price, so it's like, I'll buy that for you. So use that website basically. It has all
actually,
the.
So Steam
What's the
actually
website?
allows cross-region.
You can gift
purchases.
to someone in America, I presume. Is that
Yeah,
how it
it's
works?
just the gift system, so.
I went to the gift
any of your
system,
friends.
and it doesn't. Stop me if I'm wrong, but there doesn't seem to be a way for me to buy a gift for, say, my brother, and then have it arrive on Christmas Day.
No,
No.
which is really crap. That means you have to sort of buy a gift and then like make sure you're sat at your computer sending people the gifts you want to on Christmas Day, which is kind of negates the point, really.
Just tell them it's a fucking Christmas gift when you buy it for them. I mean, you can put a
Yeah,
message
I
in
know,
there.
but
Yeah, it's not the same,
but it
is
tells
it?
them what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll get an email saying, "Someone has just bought you this," and it's like, I don't want to know.
And the thing is, it seems like such an obvious thing that I assumed they would have that feature. I didn't even think, oh, maybe they will. I thought, of course they will.
Well, it's almost like they've almost managed to make that in the Team Fortress 2 store already, where it's like you can, instead of just trading someone an item, you can gift wrap it first, and they don't know what it is, and then they open it. Which still means they can open it as soon as they get it, which makes the entire thing kind of pointless. But it's like,
Oh yeah, but that's okay. That's a bit different. That's okay. I could live with that because it's sort of then it's like any other Christmas present you get. Because if you get some sent to you early or whatever, then it's self-restraint more than anything else. And if you open it beforehand, you're a bastard.
So they're like 50% of the way there inside Team Fortress, but not in Steam. Speaking of which, as I said the other day to Rob when we were playing Team Fortress, they need to do the reverse and bring stuff from the Steam store into Team Fortress. Like, why can't I gift things directly from the Team Fortress store to people? Like, buy a weapon out of the store and have that to go directly to someone instead of having to trade it to them.
They could make a whole thing
necessary,
out of this
doesn't it?
On Steam, though. They could have like a virtual Christmas tree with little gift boxes that appear underneath it, with little tags saying who it came from, and you don't know what's inside it.
Well, no. Actually, the problem's more fundamental than that. We're looking only at Christmas at this stage, but think birthdays and things like that. It's there should be an option to just deliver on a chosen date, not just deliver on Christmas.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway.
Innovate, Steam. Come on.
So
I'm sure they'll get around to it eventually.
So that was the one new game you played, Zach.
The one new game was Steam, because the other new game was I got the new Golden Sun, Dark Dawn.
How many years has it been since those GBA games? There were two, right?
I don't know. Maybe I can look at this GBA cartridge which is next to me and see if it has a date on it.
That's reliable. It's like trying to look in a book and try and work out when it was published from copyrights.
Well, that normally works fairly well though for books because they're like first published and then reprinted and that sort of stuff. Well, this cartridge doesn't seem to have any dates on it.
And on DVD films, it's hard to tell what year the film came out in cinemas. It doesn't say anywhere, does it? Some of them, I suppose, maybe it does, but it's not a standard thing.
No, generally IMDb's your only
Yeah,
reassuring.
Course, isn't it?
Yeah, and even then it might be listing the American release.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not all of them have the regional information on, I don't think, on there yet.
Yeah.
Although most are pretty good.
So what's the verdict, Zach?
So yeah, it was New Golden Sun. Oh, okay. I just started up the old Golden Sun, and the second one was 2003.
Right. Okay. So that's quite
So
a
I
while
don't know when
then.
this one came out.
7-year gap is pretty big,
7-year
yeah.
gap, yeah.
But everyone was asking for it. They were like, "God damn it, where's the new Golden Sun? Why have you not made a Golden Sun for DS ever since the DS came out?"
It has
And
been
now
quite
they
a
have.
while, because if you think about it, yeah, DS came out 2005, didn't it? 2004, 2005, something like that.
That's
Yeah.
And, yeah, so it has been an
DS
epic
fact.
period of time.
But then they finally got round to it. And they just about managed to avoid calling it Golden Sun something D something S.
Golden Sun Dual Strike.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We were theorising about these
Rob
as
was
well.
saying it wanted to be Dark Sun, which would sound kind of good. Golden Sun, Dark Sun.
Well, the trouble with Advance Wars Dual Strike is that Advance part of the Advance Wars stands for the Game Boy Advance, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. It might as well be Wars.
Yeah, but then they could license Edwin Starr. Was. Huh. Good God, y'all. Actually, saying that, there was a
But it's
game
just-
made by
That'd
Atari
be
just
Star
called War at
Wars.
one
That'd be in
point.
trouble, wouldn't it?
But it's like the same thing
What's
happened
there?
with Final Fantasy Tactics, where it's like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, the DS version of Final Fantasy Tactics A2, because it's twice as advanced. I don't know.
And they're releasing that on the iPhone, aren't they? So that'll be even more confusing.
Yes.
I
No, I think they're just calling it Final Fantasy Tactics. They're
Well,
keeping
but is
that
that
one
the
simple.
old version though?
I don't know. It would have to be
the ancient game.
well, it would have had to be a complete rewrite to make use of the touchscreen.
That's true, but I mean, that's not necessarily going to stop them.
So Golden Sun Dark Dawn. Is that right?
Yes.
No.
It's
God,
basically
is it Dark Dawn? That's like Advance
Yes, it's
Wars
Dark
Dark Dawn or Dark
no,
Conflict
that's
Dawn.
Dark Conflict.
Dark Conflict. Yeah.
No, but what is it in America though? That's what we found out. It's called something
It's
else.
Days of Ruin.
Days of Ruin. Okay.
That's a better
So
name.
Golden Sun
Yeah,
Days
it
of
is.
Ruin.
Golden Sun Dark Dawn, which
Okay.
is very Golden Sun. Basically, it's like here is the exact same game again, apart from now less sprites and more everything rendered in 3D. So I guess success.
So it's
And
exactly what everyone
touchscreen,
asked
so
for.
you can go through menus slightly better.
I did see it has a really cool feature which is sort of built-in Wikipedia, which all RPGs should have.
Well, yeah, it's like the Mass Effect style, where it's like here's all
Yeah, but this
your
has links.
lore. Yeah, but
Links to the lore.
That's because they can be awesome with their touchscreen, where it's like, here's
That's
someone
true.
saying something, and then little words in it to highlight it, so you can use the top screen to bring up the encyclopedia entry.
So you can look
That is bloody brilliant, actually.
freaking genius. Every RPG.
But it is
should
kind
have
of
that.
weird how, like, you're learning stuff beyond what the people in the story actually know at that point.
Oh, I see. So if it flags up,
It's like, they mention someone by name once, but then you can bring up an encyclopedia page that says, this guy did this, 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 and this.
it's their entire biography. So you're the only person in the world with access to the equivalent of the world's Wikipedia.
Yeah. I mean,
Like-
it's even slightly weirder is that, like, the actual... Sometimes, I mean, obviously I just said where it's like you can learn stuff that maybe your characters don't know, but sometimes the actual encyclopedia pages change over time as well. So it's like, suddenly words that you've already clicked on before will be highlighted again. You're like, what? And then you press on it and it says something different. Because, like, events have changed and it's updated the information.
Oh, so does it
that's cool.
highlight them in a colour if you haven't read that page?
If you haven't
yet?
read it, yeah.
Ah, but can you still click on them if you've already gone to the page?
Yeah,
It's
you
just
can
a different
press
colour.
on them at any time anyway.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's even
neat.
better.
Yeah.
It's kind of an awesome system. for
So how
a
is
DS
this-
game, I guess.
So how's the story and the questing, the meat?
It's basically exactly the same. Okay, so the gameplay is basically exactly the same. It's like
Okay.
run around and then here's a fight, and it has has the classic Golden Sun awesome battle scenes. Because I mean, it used to be more awesome on the GBA, where it was like these are actually really goddamn good sprites for the GBA. And like awesome effects and sound effects and like weird explosions, and the music is awesome. And then on the DS, it's like, well, okay, this is, I don't know, it's an RPG, so I guess that's okay. It hasn't
Does
really
it look-
advanced. It's just like, I mean, everything's 3D rendered, but it's still exactly the same battle system and sort of the same style of effects. Yeah, it still has all the summons and all that kind of
like
stuff.
Guardian Forces or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it?
And of course, those are ridiculously animated and unnecessarily long.
Do you get meteors coming out the sky and crushing people?
Oh, meteor it was always the stupid, best. It was the highest level fire summon, of course. Right. It's meteor. But it was always pretty ridiculous in the previous one, where it's like, yes, giant meteor falls out of the sky and then crushes everything. Although Judgment was arguably worse, where it's like, we're going to destroy the entire fucking world.
and then little a damage pop up like 247 appears or something, and then next turn after the world.
Yeah, the new version of meteor is they've extended the sequence to be even more slightly ridiculous, where it's like it fades out and then you see like a pointless scene of space and then oh look, there's the asteroid belt, and then a constellation gets highlighted where it's like a giant god guy and he goes poof and pushes a meteor out of the asteroid belt and then it comes down onto the planet and does its ridiculous slow motion falling, crushing you all explosion.
Yeah, but hang on.
That was totally unnecessary.
The bit I pointed out is having seen most of these animations is they seem to have some sort of obsession in Golden Sun of not quite hitting the target and then expecting it to get damaged by the shockwave in all of these animations. It's like guy in space firing a giant laser from his lion head hand or whatever, and decides not to shoot at the target, no, but just off to the side so we can see the shockwave running across the landscape, and it's that hurts. I'm sure it would do more damage if you hit the target.
Or maybe it's like a nuclear bomb, where it's if it goes off directly above you, you actually take less physical damage.
Yeah, circular error probable is probably quite high for a meteor thrown by a god. But there you go.
But yeah, so those are ridiculous.
They need GPS system to get accuracy higher on their strike.
So, all right, yeah. Can you dial in the latitude, please? Yeah, okay, got that. Yep. Just setting it up now. It's going to take a few minutes for the satellite to come round. Bear with me.
So what's Golden Sun about? Because I can't remember.
Well, okay, so this is the other
JRPG.
where...
Presumably your hero has a giant sword, right? And there's
Sometimes.
a girl who's amazing at magic. But
they're all amazing at magic, so that doesn't really help.
Okay.
Because it's the Psyology thing, obviously.
So what's it about?
Well, this is the other thing about this new game, where it's very much exactly the same as the old ones. So, to summarise the old ones, it's you're living in this village which is the guardian of some ancient secret temple, and you're some kids, and you see some bad guys going into the ancient temple, but no one else sees them, and you're like, well, fuck, we probably ought to do something about that. So you go there, you get the elemental star things, the whole thing fucks up, then you have to go around the world stopping people from lighting the elemental lighthouses with the elemental stars, except by the time you reach the second game, you're like, no wait, flip that around, we actually have to light the elemental lighthouses because we didn't understand what the fuck was going on in the first game, and then you light them all, and then you save the world. So that's basically what happened in the first two games.
Right.
Because the world was shrinking or fading away because the lighthouses had sealed the elemental power or whatever, which is why you had to relight them. And you relight them and it's hooray, world saved. And now in the second game, it literally follows on directly from that story, because your main character and the first four other characters you meet are the children of the team from the first game. So you're literally playing as the direct descendant of the main character from the first game, with exactly the same powers, match. And you're we have to go and get this mountain rock feather to do something, because we're keeping an eye on the ancient decimated temple where we used to live, except now it's all blown up. And then it's
What, the temple from the village in the first game?
Yeah, the temple from the village in the first game still sort of exists, and you're guarding it and keeping an eye on things. And it's go and get this mountain rock feather to help us. And then, you go out into the world, it's some bad guys are sort of stringing us along and making us do things which are obviously going to lead to some horrible conclusion. Just like in the first game.
So has it got anything to do with the Chaos Emeralds in the lighthouses? Sorry, Elemental Stone.
Not as far as I can tell. It seems like the lighthouses are sort of... I don't know if they even sort of exist any longer. They're mentioned vaguely, but you don't see them or go to them, so there's no... thing, it's not, you're not going back to exactly the same locations, mainly because the whole world has changed since you saved it, where it's continents have shifted around and new land has grown out of nowhere because it can. And
so what actually happened to
fucking dangerous.
What happened?
Well, how is anyone alive?
Well, that's what people have been. That's what the story says, right? Like, you may have saved the world, but you caused all kinds of natural disasters like earthquakes and volcanoes and shit, and everyone is vaguely pissed off at you, except they don't seem that pissed off.
Cheers, Dad. Yeah, thanks for like basically crazily destroying the world.
Man, imagine the climate change-based disasters if the continents are shifting. Like, all of a sudden, Jamaica has got penguins.
Yeah, there has been one swamp thing that got crushed by a forest. Well, I'm not quite sure how that works.
What?
It seemed to suggest that there was this swamp here, and then this
fly now.
Well, it was like there was this swamp here, and then this forest from another part of the continent gradually kind of got shifted on top of it somehow, and just ended up sitting directly on top of where the swamp was. It's like, okay, that sort of doesn't make very much sense. But there's so many. It's like you can almost exactly see what's going to happen in the story because you've basically done it before, exactly the same. Like you're meeting old characters, and it's like. My dad came and talked to you several years ago.
Oh, I see. The same, like it's now an old woman or whatever.
Yeah.
It was an NPC who didn't move, who was like in a village. And then you come and she hasn't moved at all.
Not very many villages, more like important.
But now the village is in 3D.
Yeah, exactly.
And the woman is old. So what happened to your original parental team?
Well,
Did
apparently...
no,
they all survived. But it's like... So the main character from the first game, whose name is Isaac if you don't change it, Isaac and Garrett, who are like the earth and fire element guys, they're the guys guarding the temple place. Right. Then the water woman don't know where she is, but she's still alive, and the wind person is somewhere else, but he had a kid who went to stay with with Isaac and Garrett. So basically your team of 3 at the start is 3 of the children. Then you meet the daughter of the water woman very early on. It's like, okay, Dream Team has performed. Let's do this.
So all of the Dream Team from the first 2 games had an only child?
Yeah, and they all know each other.
None of them have brothers or sisters?
Actually, I think one of them might, and I think that I can't remember exactly, but like I think one of them has a sister, but then she gets kidnapped or whatever, as you would expect.
Oh, is it like a baby sister or something that needs?
No, I think they're the same age, but you get like separated in a cave, and like you have to go to this entrance, and they have to go to this entrance, and then you haven't met up with them again. It's like you're trying to get to where they are or whatever. It's all very predictable, I guess.
I wonder if there's some kind of breeding program for adepts or something, where they have to pick out certain people. So maybe Water Woman ran away, because she just had to give birth to all 4 of these children or something from to different fathers or something to make sure we got a nice adept range.
Well, the thing is that you're going to end up with 8 characters basically. It's certainly an 8-character game, so you can swap people out, but obviously it's going to be 2 of each element. But the second water elemental guy you get in your team, he thought it was an immaculate conception or something, but actually it might have been this adept guy who came and impregnated his mother and then left. And it's like, I wonder who that was. Might it have been this other guy who was the brother of the water adept from the first game? I think it might.
Nice.
They're all related.
It's a game about inbreeding, and
yeah. So basically,
incest equals magic.
It's so weirdly referential to the first games. I mean, it's not to say that it's not going to stand up on its own if you don't know what the fuck happened in the first games. I mean, all the encyclopedia stuff gives you necessary backstory, and to be honest, none of that seems very relevant to what you're doing. Like, your parents saved the world, but the world is sort of saved now, so just wander around and do your own quest.
It's weird because it's possible that you might enjoy it more if you hadn't played the previous games, because at least it would seem relatively original.
Possibly. I mean, I guess that's sort of true, but the enjoyment of the original games certainly helps too.
Yeah.
So I suppose there are a reasonable amount of references.
Like, the original games were awesome, this one continues to be awesome.
Excellent.
And I'm not done
even
with
if
it
it's... So, I don't know, sometimes don't you think that, although it's still good, don't you think that the lack of originality can be quite a large negative sometimes?
I don't think they can get away with making another one without changing some stuff up severely.
What would you change, though? Say it's 7 years from now and they come out with another Golden Sun. Is it
But it
going
needs not to be 7
different?
years. That's the most important thing. They need to start doing Final Fantasy style and actually have a different world. Because the fact that this still happens in exactly the same world with exactly the same elements and psi energy and all that stuff, you can get away with that for 3 games, I think. But now maybe you need to move on, invent some new systems.
Question lies on would the game's story be epic enough as a final chapter?
Well, yeah, I haven't finished it yet, so I don't know.
Or do they all get transported to a mysterious netherworld?
That looks like it might happen in this game anyway.
Okay.
within the scope of this game. But yeah, I'm 18 hours in, and I've got 6 of the characters, so that means about another 18 hours, I guess.
Well, that sounds about right for an RPG, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not bad.
Are there any other game series that do that genius thing that Final Fantasy does, of just being the same series but being different world each time?
Completely different worlds.
You
could argue that Red Faction, technically. It's still Mars, but there's never any overlap.
I guess so. But then you could say that about, Quake.
Yeah,
Yes,
Quake
true.
is probably a good one, actually. Although Quake 2 and Quake
Or Doom.
4
Although
are in
Doom
the
is a
same
little more
universe.
literally sequels.
No, you're always
isn't
the
it?
same dude, aren't you? Or...
What, in Doom?
Yeah.
Doom 3 is
Apart
like a
from Doom 3,
remake,
obviously.
sort of, really. So that's really doesn't count. I don't think it counts if it's a remake. I think Quake's probably a good example, because Quake 2 is a completely different universe to Quake 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Quake 3, again, doesn't really have a fiction at all, but it is definitely a different universe.
Yeah.
But then Quake 4 was in the Quake 2 universe.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, so...
Which breaks that rule.
Sort of.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy X2 breaks the rule, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that barely counts
Yeah.
as a Final Fantasy game. Because they put
Yeah.
X2 on it, where it's it's a sequel to one of these games.
They've done it again, though, haven't they? Isn't there a game, at least another...
Yeah, there's
a few
like
games in the Final Fantasy 7 universe.
weird
isn't there?
something. Oh, well, yeah, there is that Final Fantasy 7 spin-off thing. Where
There was a couple of them, wasn't there?
Yeah, so they don't always stick
But those
to
also are
new every
barely
game.
Final Fantasy style games, really. I mean,
That's
they are,
true.
but they're not. It's like X2 was weird and, girl band. What the fuck is going on?
A bit of me still wants to play that just to see what the hell it's all about. Then again, as keeping up to traditions, I never finished X, so.
No.
Well, those games take a while. What was
I
that
think I
one
got
that
ru-
you've been working on forever? And have you finished that yet? The one.
Well, no, to be fair, I haven't played it in a long time. It's starting to tick me off, but
What's it?
Lost Odyssey.
That's the one.
It got to the point where it just, I don't know. It's at the stage where I either can carry on the story and pretty much finish the game, or there's lots of side quests to do. And I think all of the side quests are irritating, so I might have to just bring up the courage and just finish it at some point.
Right. How many hours?
But then that would mean I finished a game like that, and I'll be like, oh no,
the first time ever.
I've got to finish all the other ones now.
Did you seriously finish any of the other ones? 9? Did you finish
no.
9?
You loved that was the one you loved, wasn't it?
No,
8
eight's
till
the
9.
one I'm
8.
particularly fond of.
Well,
Did you
yeah.
not finish that?
No.
But 8 got really
I've never actually
fucked
played the
up.
last disc properly on 8. Because, yeah, the
It
last
went
disc,
horribly
everything
wrong when you
dangerous.
got into that big fight at the end of that disc where it's you're fighting yourself or what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, when Lunatic Pandora basically changes the world.
I have
As
never.
if that game
finished
wasn't
a
fucked up
JRPG.
enough to start with, where it's you're sharing dreams or some other guy's memories, and then you go
Oh
to
yeah,
where they were.
The Laguna story's all a bit crazy.
I think the closest I come to anything a JRPG is Pokemon Blue. Was it
Oh, how did you not finish that?
No, I did, but that's the only
You
one.
did? Oh, you said you came close. I thought you meant
No, that.
that you meant. You
sorry.
mean that Pokemon is the closest to being a JRPG?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It doesn't really count, really, does it? No.
don't know.
Pokemon's on its own. It doesn't really count as a JRPG. I don't consider it. Yeah.
Didn't you finish any of the other Pokemons, like Silver?
Don't think so. No, I never finished Silver. I got a really... I can't remember why. I had Silver. I think
I transferred over my team, which was a bad idea, or something.
Yeah, because in the older Pokemon games, it always had weird, fucked up systems that never quite worked properly.
Yeah, it broke everything. And my team was too powerful as well. But then...
yeah, that never helped.
I don't know. I got bored of that. And then I remember spending a lot of time in a park and waiting for it to be daytime or something.
Oh yeah, the old classic where it's like there's one rare thing that appears at this end. It's because it was linked to the physical clock in Gold.
In Silver, yeah. And
it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And then there was the whole breeding thing, which was a bit
Well,
much.
it was less complicated in those days, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Unlike the bidding in like Diamond and Pearl and stuff, where it's like you can put two things in and get out something totally different because it's an unevolved version of the first thing, which never appears in the wild.
Because I have the DS Pokemon, the new one. Well, not new anymore.
Yeah.
Diamond or something. What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently that's great, and I'm sure it is. I just can't be bothered. I don't know.
It's fine. It's not really great.
Well, blue, obviously, blue and red and blue are great games. Classics.
Silver and Gold was the best, clearly.
Are they Are they worth playing then? No, compared to Diamond.
Well, you could get the modernized versions. Lol.
Oh yeah, they remade them, didn't they? Because I know they remade the original ones, but they've got as far as remaking Gold and Silver, haven't they?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Anyway.
If they remake Ruby and Emerald, it will be like... It wasn't Ruby... No, Ruby and Sapphire, because Emerald was the stupid re-release, like Platinum is for Diamond and Pearl.
Are they the GBA ones?
GBA ones, yeah, the ones that I didn't play.
Oh, but it's like, there's a new one, isn't there? Black and white.
Black and white. They've run out of colours at last. So
that's
clearly this is going to be the last Pokemon game ever.
Didn't the remake have stupid names like Soul Silver or something? Or
Yeah.
Soul Silver and Heart Gold.
And the Fire Red and Leaf Green was the remakes of the original.
It's not Leaf Green, is it? Because isn't Leaf Green...
Well, there wasn't a blue one, was
maybe
there?
it is Leaf Green.
Because in Japan there wasn't blue and red, it was green and red, wasn't it? And then...
Yeah, but didn't they actually get round to releasing green in non-Japanese territories?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. Along with yellow.
Otherwise known as making
green
it
never
really
came out.
confusing.
No, I'm pretty sure green never came out in the West. Because green is the same as blue.
But it wouldn't make any sense if it wasn't blue again.
I know, but I think they're sort of... I don't know. What's the blue one then? Tell me, what water blue? That doesn't exist though, does it?
Probably. But the whole point of the Japanese green was it was weirdly bug-focused for some reason.
Yeah. Man, it's confusing. I remember turning
Everyone
on the...
loves bugs.
Because I had the Game Boy Color, and of course it wasn't a Game Boy Color game, was it? Pokemon Blue or Red. So you had to like hold the direction on the D-pad to get the right colours that you liked for the game.
And obviously, if you play red, you had to switch to the red mode. And if you play blue, you had to switch to the blue mode.
I thought it did that automatically, actually, didn't it? If you had a GBC, that it would put it in red or blue as the default.
Maybe, but you could change it. I remember having green grass.
Yeah, you could definitely change it.
Yeah, you had to... Because there was some that looked really fucked up, and it was like, oh, you know what that is? You just keep switching it around until you find the one that actually makes things look sane. Sane and appropriately coloured. So anyway.
So Golden Sun.
What were we talking about? RPGs, I guess.
Yeah. You would recommend Dark Dawn?
Lol. Well, it's like, if only it hadn't have come out so late in the year, I might have been able to make it a Game of the Year. I don't want to give away any secrets about the Game of the Year discussion, but...
I'm sure you can still... You've played 18 hours of it. I think you can evaluate it.
But I haven't finished it. I haven't discovered its actual length, so I can't...
Well, I would be surprised if you finished it.
Whatever.
You'll probably finish it by... I wouldn't be surprised, because you'll probably have to do a load of boring Christmas family things, and you'll probably just sit there being antisocial with your DS.
I don't think we will have any Christmas family shit to do this year somehow. We haven't even got a tree. So,
what?
I don't know.
Seriously?
Because Rob is so enthusiastic about Christmas, he has to have a tree.
Well, yeah, admittedly that wasn't my decision, but even so, everyone has a tree at the point of Christmas.
Yeah, you need one at least If you don't have one by Christmas,
You've got a few
Day,
days.
yeah. You go out and buy a plastic one without your parents knowing and set it up in.
I'm sure we have one in the attic, but no one's bothered to
Chop,
do anything about it.
Maybe this is your calling. You know, you can be you can be Christmas spirit.
I don't think we have anywhere to put it. Is the other problem? Because our front room it's got like the couch covers 2 of the walls because it's one of those corner couches, and then you've got the entire entertainment center covers the 3rd wall with the TV in it, and then on the 4th wall you've got the fireplace, which obviously you can't put a tree next to.
Put it near the window, near the left-hand edge of your left-hand edge. No, not there, but the left-hand edge of the entertainment center. But anyway, that's Zach's house. That's not relevant to anyone's knowledge.
Fire. Now that it's an open fire, which you haven't seen, I guess.
No.
They upgraded it to an open fireplace instead of that stove thing that we used to have. Although
I suppose
that's
you
wouldn't want to put a plastic tree very close to that either.
Yeah.
So, any other games you've been playing?
Put a mini one in the middle of your table.
So that was the 2 new things, and then I guess there's just the typical list of tons of old stuff. Team Fortress and... Wait. I was trying to remember what else I was about to say. Oh, Torchlight I've gone back into again.
Alright.
For the grindy grind.
Is it
Getting some achievements, lol.
It is pretty grindy.
It's especially grindy if you're going beyond, the end of the actual story. It's like 35 floors of getting to the last boss, and then it's like, now you can go on forever.
Oh, God.
And I've just been like, oh, there's achievements for it. It's like, get to level 100. Okay, I can do that. And I'm at like 82.
Excellent.
Bloody hell. There's still some going there.
So I'll just grind that out. Get some achievements.
How long will it take to get to 100 then?
Not too much longer. I guess I go up fairly quickly, even when it's this high level. Mainly because all the enemies scale with you as you go down the deeper dungeon, so they're all basically at your level regardless.
So TF2, I heard that they've just put that Natasha nerf into the game.
Yes, which I haven't. Nice. I guess I didn't know. Was anyone using Natasha last night when we were playing?
Boo! No, I think that's precisely the problem. Nobody is using it now.
Thank God.
But, I liked Natasha. I thought it needed a
buff. You liked
buff.
it because it was overpowered.
Yeah.
It's not overpowered.
You were getting too many kills.
I wasn't. That was the problem. I switched back to Sasha for a while because I thought the slowdown effect wasn't having much effect when I was using it. And so I went back to Sasha.
The put in wasn't as bad as some of the ones they were testing.
No, true, but it's still a nerf. And I don't like it. And now no one's using it. Which means it's too much of a nerf.
They just put in the slowdown reduced depending on range, and they made the spin up a bit slower, didn't they?
And as I said to Rob, it's like the spin up time increase isn't actually enough, it's just turning it back to how it was before they buffed it.
Yeah, and it's not reduced the damage any, so it's
because it always had reduced damage over the normal gun anyway, so
yeah, it did.
Quite a lot actually. The damage tail off is quite a lot higher as well. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. As I'm reluctant to talk about TF this week simply because I'm on the cusp of giving it up for a while.
Right, you're having a frustrating time with it, are you?
Right royally. And I wouldn't mind so much if it felt like I was playing shit. You know, you get that feeling in some games where things go wrong and you know it's your fault. You can see what happened, and it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough, I got bested. But recently, TF just doesn't feel like that. I would make the claim I am the unluckiest player in the game. Things just happen that I have no control of, or laggy things seems to happen, or I hit people tons of times, and the damage doesn't seem to add up to something that can kill them, despite they'll do the same thing to me, and I'll die in an instant. Things like that, and it's beginning not to feel fair, and I don't know if that's my machine or the servers or the connection, whatever. I don't know, but it's beginning to feel unfair from my side rather than me being crap.
But do you think it's
I'm still landing the shots? I don't know. This is the thing. I haven't quite worked it out. I can't figure it out, but it doesn't feel as good. Maybe it's like I just had a fairly worrying thought actually, because TF2 is probably the closest I've ever come to gaming addiction. You know, when I sit down and I don't know what to do, I think TF2. It's it's the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe it's got to the stage where the buzz I get from TF2 just isn't enough anymore.
You need to upgrade to some more hardcore drugs, Steve.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm enjoying Black Ops more than I've ever enjoyed COD before.
That wouldn't make sense if it was, because then it would be if it seemed like you were doing as good as TF2 but you weren't enjoying it. Whereas now it seems like you're doing worse, which is naturally making you enjoy it less.
Well, true. But that's the thing. It doesn't. You've hit precisely the problem. I'm doing worse in the game, but without feeling like I'm to blame.
Yeah, well, that might be the game's fault rather than addiction's fault.
Well, yeah.
Well, it seems like the community is broadly a bit disgruntled about Man Economy in general.
And the new items they just put in this Christmas update, I'm not happy about those.
Yeah, everyone seems to think it's got worse, but it's not. If you compare like a slightly less good TF2 to most games, it's still amazing.
Well, it's got to the stage where this time last year I would have had no hesitation of saying best game ever. Personally, in my opinion, it probably would have been TF. And now I'm starting to consider that as, because of the way it's evolved and because of the things like that, as, you know what, even though technically it's probably a better game in terms of content, in terms of value, that's still incredible, but strangely, a bit of me can't help but think it's just not as good as it used to be.
I don't like the way they've mucked up their brilliant art style by having all the hats and stuff. I know everyone loves it, but I don't. I don't want to see someone with Kanye West glasses on the demo while he's got a ridiculous shield and he's running up. And it used to look cool.
It's like
all
what
the characters
I want.
look cool all the time originally.
It's like what I want is like a kind of a mod where it basically just replaces all the models for all the new shit with the old stuff. It'd make it really difficult to play because you couldn't see what anyone was using any longer, because it'd be like, oh, he's using the normal minigun except for it's using the Tasha effects.
Perhaps you could do that with just hats, maybe not with the
the
weaponry,
hats would be fine.
Could have a no hat option. Because you wouldn't be at a disadvantage with that.
Well, apart from the new hats, which have effect.
I draw the line. I don't mind hats so much, but I draw the line at the unusual stuff.
Well, I draw the line at hats that look stupid and the unusual stuff. Like,
I think
some of and the like totally unnecessary shit, like the glasses and stuff, where it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Not only, those are really ugly as well. The glasses are a really bad offender in that case, where it's like, because they're white compared to the Deathman being black.
Yeah, it's all product tie-ins though. Valve realised that TF items are can actually be a sales driver for other products, and the problem is then that they have to make those products relevant to the thing they're trying to sell. So when Dangeresque 2. The Sun Protectors entered the game, it was because of Strong Bad's appearance in Poker Night.
They could have given them to a different class where it wouldn't clash quite so badly. Maybe one of the classes that already wears glasses, like the Sniper.
Maybe.
The thing is, I'm not so sure that people wearing the Dangeresque glasses necessarily are fans of Dangeresque 2. They
just make their own pimp. It's like the pimp hat for the minute, man. Because everyone has to wear the pimp hat because it makes them look pimp.
Damn right. And in purple.
Or the afro. It's a bit of a toss-up.
I don't know. I think it's interesting because
maybe that should be one of the new weapons, a pimp cane.
I think Halo Reach actually draws quite a nice line on the player customization.
To the point where it's unnoticeable.
I don't know.
Apart from the flaming skull, of course.
It's only apart from the flaming helmet, yeah. It's only ever noticeable when you're browsing the other players that you're about to play with. During the game, I really can't tell.
No, I guess you're right. Maybe it's a bit back, but I prefer it to be a bit consistent.
Well, the bit of Halo customization, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but the bit of Halo customization that I liked that they got right in Halo 2 was the emblem stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, it still exists, but I liked how you could see it over members of your... I found that better a way of telling where players are on the map than a text indicator. Being able to see the player icon, it was faster than being able to having to read the text in terms of, cognition.
Recognition.
And then,
I agree.
It was... And I don't know why they changed that. I much prefer that emblem. And it was a bit of customization everyone could see.
Because you got little player icons in TF2, but you never see them outside the scoreboard, do you? Where do you see them?
No, it just uses your avatar.
The icons in TF2 when it's... Because the classes are meant to be distinctive anyway, so you don't need the icon to tell what class people are when you're looking at them.
Yeah, but I think identify individual players.
Yeah, I think you mean your avatars, but they're attached to Steam accounts, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your Steam tar. It's like, photos on gamer cards.
But your name still appears if people look at you in Team Fortress 2. In a huge box. It's not like a tiny pop-up that's attached to the character.
That's true, yeah.
It can still be a little difficult to, work out who is who just by looking at them, though. Say they took out the name boxes, and unless you knew which class was which and how they were dressed up, it can still be a little difficult to figure out who's who.
But
if there are multiple snipers, for instance. But, yeah, I guess. I guess.
Because I don't know if I want to go back to vanilla TF2, but there must be a... Where would you draw the line?
Well, that's the problem with me. It's like I totally play on a vanilla server, but except I wouldn't because it's too vanilla.
Yeah.
It's like I want the first round of updates, but not the stupid shit.
Exactly. Where do you draw it? At the sort of spy sniper? What was the last class?
Well, yeah, I would stop at probably some of the Manco would be some of it, but not all of it, would be my last
engineer
update.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, NG was the last one.
With a server that ended at the engineer update. Even though the engineer update was still a bit crazy with wrangling and picking your sentries up and stuff. Although I guess picking your sentries up is in regardless now. Because, that's not attached to any of the weapons.
It's alright. No, the NG update didn't really mess the balance too much. I thought that was a very good update. It added something to NGs and didn't really mess anything up. So it was...
And up to that point, if you sort of ignored the hats and the stupid game-specific add-ons, that was all sort of sane stuff that matched with the theme of the game, I guess.
So, engineer update, no hats server. What about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
No, and perhaps get rid of some of the community stuff as well. Like, because there are some pointless things on that list, like paint train. God, whoever uses a paint train?
Well, no community stuff at all.
Well, the paint train does have reason, though.
Yeah,
it does,
who uses it?
But don't bother with it. No, I mean,
I don't know.
Why would you carry anything other than the equalizer?
Well, for Soldier, but what about it then?
Oh, I didn't realise Demo could carry it.
Yeah.
I suppose it's an upgrade from the bottle, but
yeah.
But then again, you can use the pan, which is just awesome.
It kind of
but the pan is pointless.
Yeah, but it's
demolition,
a pan,
doesn't it? Because the paint train damages buildings, isn't it? Isn't it?
No, it's double cap.
Oh.
Double cap and 10% bullet vulnerability.
Oh. I guess that's quite good for demo. That's pretty good.
It's good if you're a rush demo. It's like if you're from the start of the round getting to the midpoint by sticky jumping.
As I say, it's all right. I can see why it has a point. It's just no one uses it because if you're a demo, a lot of people carry the sword. Or if you
probably don't notice them using it because the only time they'd be having it even out would be when they're standing on a point capping it.
Yeah, I guess.
So anyway,
that's our in-depth TF2 discussion for the week.
How's the week?
It's just to alienate the audience. That'd be me. Hello.
That'd be you. Hi, how's it going? What have you been playing this week? These past 2 weeks? Anything good?
You know what? I'm not entirely sure I have much to really add to this. This time, I finished Brütal Legend.
All right. Well, it'd be good to hear about the ending.
You finished Brütal Legend.
Yeah, Zach watched me do that. I mean, the ending was kind
of.
I thought there was more. It had more legs to it than it did. I mean, don't get me wrong. It goes on for a while, but then the last fight wasn't particularly difficult.
Right.
No. I thought that thing was going to be epically hard. It was just like, hey, this thing is huge, but it just sort of stands there
and doesn't do anything. Yeah,
it's
an RTS battle followed by a combat boss. But
I see.
Both of them highlight the game's two main weaknesses, which was that the RTS element of the game just isn't strong enough. And that even though it's pretty cool, a bit of me does quite like it, and I probably will attempt some of the straight RTS battles later on. Just try it against the AI, see what it's like. Because you don't have to play as Eddie Riggs' faction. You can play as the other teams you come across.
Oh, cool!
In the multiplayer,
right?
Yeah, and they all have different abilities and things like that, and it's actually quite well thought out. But it never really gets going because the last RTS fight is still really easy. It doesn't really feel like much of a challenge. You're just like hurling enemies hurling units at the enemy, like just a bit blindly. And in the last mission, you get this ridiculous super unit called the Rock Crusher, which basically can summon Stonehenge on them.
That's a Spinal Tap reference, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, it's super awesome. It just appears out of the ground and goes ha, and everyone dies. But it's it's a little bit too easy. And then the last fight highlights the limitations in the combat, and that it's not quite, it's not bad, but it's no God of War or anything like that. It's trying to, it's a very simple hack and slashy type combat system, and it's not that good either. And it's it's fun, but you can't really play solos during that last fight because it's all a bit too fast. And it's like the game should have made more of both of those features, or at least picked one that it liked.
Yeah, pick one and run with it, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know.
It almost seems like they wanted to run with the RTS thing because that's what they thought was cool, but actually in terms of the game, what would be better would be better.
It almost feels as well, but the biggest disappointment about the end of the game is it's like they sort of run out of story almost. It's like they tie up a few ends, but you still can't help but wonder, but how did we get back in the first place? Oh, aren't we going to see Armageddon again? Oh, aren't we going to do this? Why the hell is Eddie Riggs a devil? It's there's an awful lot of open questions, and it's just like, oh, everything's okay now.
Ding. Magic.
However, the game does let you go back into the world after you've completed it to carry on doing the stuff. However, this is also another problem. The only thing I've got left to do in the world, apart from finding gagged dragons, a couple of legends, which are basically just find a point on the map and activate it type stuff.
Right.
The only missions I've got left to do are these stupid hunting missions, which are you get given by some guy who's like, oh, I've killed this many of this, and he gets increasingly weird as the game goes on, like revealing more about his strange tendencies to do things to the carcasses of the animals, which is just lovely. But you have to go to this guy to activate the mission, and then the thing you have to do is usually fucking miles away, like nearly the other end of the map sometimes. The thing you have to do, so you have to drive ages to get to him, then drive ages to get to the location you need to do stuff, and then finding the things you're supposed to kill. For some reason, they become less frequent when you're doing the mission. So I did come across a couple of glitches in that case, where if I just drove slightly too far away and then came back, there'd be a whole new set spawned, and
oh right,
and I could kill them all again. And it's
so
like,
you're
that's
gaming the system there by
but some of them I was driving around for hours. I'm sure at one point I drove around for half an hour, aimlessly trying to find one of these creatures and couldn't find one. So it got to the stage where it's like, right, okay, I'm going to go to the Motor Forge, blah 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 blah. Bought some more stuff that I hadn't got already, came back out, and a whole load had then spawned. It's like, oh bugger, I should have just done that earlier. So that was really irritating. And I think I've only got one left of those to do now, but as I say, it just took forever. And I've still got tons of shit to find in the world, and then after that I'm done, other than playing it in brutal difficulty or attempting the RTS.
Are you working on those extra bits for achievements?
Yeah, basically, it's just achievement whoring. Because completing the game gives you a mediocre 300 odd points, really. So it's
quite a lot.
It's well, not for one achievement, but the whole progress through the single player game adds up to about 300 points, unless you whore out the others, and then even then you'll probably only just about manage half of them. about 500. You'll get a little bit more if you play on Brütal, and then the rest of them you'll probably need to play the multiplayer and do stupid things in that, or at least in the RTS things. Yeah, some of them are ridiculous.
Sometimes I think they ought to separate multiplayer achievements from single-player achievements, just in general across Xbox Live. Maybe if they launch a new generation of consoles, they might consider that, because I don't know. I like.
Or start categorizing them somehow. I like the system, but sort of split them up into the campaign ones, the multiplayer ones, and then have a whole segment for stupid shit.
Yeah, like stupid secret achievements and things.
Like extra hardcore, the ones that you'll probably never manage unless you really attempt.
Because if there's a load of multiplayer achievements that I know I never want to get, it kind of, I don't know, my perfectionist kind of tendencies would, if they were separated out, they would inspire me to want to get all of the single-player ones. But if I know that I can't get all the achievements for a game, because some of them are multiplayer ones that I will never do, like kill a developer in a multiplayer match or something.
Yeah,
there's one on
Brütal Legend called 6 Degrees of Shatter, where it's one of those viral ones where someone has had to have played against Tim Schafer, literally, and then it spreads out from there.
And you play them, right? Yeah.
Which is probably unlikely, because no one's probably playing the game by now.
Yeah, but probably within the small community of people playing the game,
maybe someone has it.
That could spread quite fast, yeah, actually. But even so, that kind of achievement kind of dents my wanting to, because I quite like the perfectionism drive to get all the achievements is quite nice in a game like Assassin's Creed 2, which is single player only. I'm pretty close to getting that 1,000, and it kind of inspires you to want to do it all, whereas if that had something like that, then I wouldn't bother to collect all the feathers necessarily. But as it is, all I need to do is collect the feathers, and I've actually S-ranked, I've got everything in the game, which is great, It's the same with Batman, it's single player only, and I'm trying to get all of them. So overall then, Brütal Legend.
It's all right. It's all right. I can see why they were.
Yeah.
Why it didn't get rated as highly as it should. But at the end of the day, the concept is awesome, and if you like metal, it's almost essential, really. The soundtrack is good. The soundtrack expands as you go through, and that's another one of the things you've got to try and unlock. And I don't know how you unlock them, but you sort of get new songs for the Mouth of Metal, as it's called, throughout the game. And it's like, it gets to the point where you start unlocking some weird shit, like proper sort of like Cradle of Filth style, not actually Cradle of Filth, but that kind of like gothic rock and stuff. So it all starts going weird as the tone of the game starts changing, and so as you as you fight off against the glam rockers, you start unlocking glam rock style songs, and and at the very start of the game, all you have is classic heavy, so things like Sabbath and Motorhead and stuff. It's a real defining feature. It's just how it evolves as you go. Oh yeah, and towards the end of the game you start getting oh god, what are they called? Super ridiculous. It's described as extreme power metal.
Well, like power ballads, but metal.
No. Oh god, I can't remember what the hell they're called. Really difficult end song in Guitar Hero 3, Through the Fire and the Flames.
Oh, Dragon Force.
Dragon Force, that's it. There's some of that in there.
Oh, I see. That's almost kind of a joke, though, isn't it?
Oh, and Marilyn Manson.
Dragon Force.
There's some of that in there as well.
Of course it is.
No, Dragon Force is a joke.
They were
isn't it?
deliberately crazy.
It's not. It's deliberately mental. It's not really serious.
You know what? I don't know.
It
treads that fine line between you worryingly serious.
I don't know. It's definitely a show. It's kind of a showman thing. They're almost like circus freaks, aren't they? The guitarists for Dragon Force. It's insane how amazing they are.
Yeah, it's like I have a problem with Dragon Force, and actually that problem is subsiding in the sense that I used to really hate them. In the sense that when you listen to it, it's just like, yeah, but that's nothing but showing off. It's not actually fun to listen to. It's just an entire song of wankery.
Yeah.
It's and the. But actually, there are a few songs now I listen to and go, you know what, that's kind of cool in a fun sort of way.
Yeah, in its own way. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not music I would actually sort of listen to and think, you know what, that's a proper classic. It's not. It doesn't come under that category. It's just sort of.
It'd be pretty hilarious to go to a Dragon Force gig, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
just to see the close-ups of their gangly hands, like
it would just be hilarious,
moving at the speed of light.
I don't know. It's a kind of a feel-good thing, I suppose. In metal. So, yeah,
Decapitation.
I know what serious metal is these days. I suppose Rage Against the Machine is technically metal. It's like rap metal, isn't it?
It's rap metal, yeah. So that's exactly what it is.
Is that what they call it? I just made that up, but...
it can be referred to as that, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I know what you mean. There's not many metal groups coming about that. I don't know. Maybe it's gone out of mainstream stuff like that, so we just don't hear about them these days because of all the stupid synthy R&B shit that's taken over the world, and all the N-dubs of the world.
N-dubs of the world, unite.
No.
Any other games? Brütal Legend?
I have very briefly started on Bioshock 2.
Oh yeah? Anything to report? Isn't it the same as Bioshock?
Pretty much.
More Bioshock?
Except
they fixed the combat, so it's not quite so bad.
There are some incredible... I'm playing it on hard mode, which isn't helping my opinions of it, I don't think, because it is brutal in terms of the difficulty. It's like, you put it on hard mode because it labels itself as you've played a lot of shooters. It's not just, this is actually quite hard. It sort of suggests that, I play a lot of shooters, I should be able to handle it.
Coercing thing.
I should be able to handle this.
Kind of,
and
with hardcore, what's it labelled? This is how it's meant to be played.
Yeah.
Lulling you into something that turns out to actually be quite hard, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, so it labels it as easy, you don't play shooters. Normal, you've played a few. Hard, you play a lot of shooters. And it's like, yeah, well, I do play a lot of shooters, but this is actually really hard.
Yeah, none of those descriptions are any good. And it's similarly, I think the Call of Duty ridiculous obstacle course time deciding your difficulty is also complete bullshit.
Yeah.
You should just choose based on the names. Just ignore the descriptions and ignore what it's trying to work out or metric from. Yeah. That's
ignoring the little subtext, they are right. Hard mode is hard. And I play with the Vita chambers turned off as well because I consider that cheating. Yeah. It's I've never liked that idea, so immediately turn them off. But first impressions, story seems a bit strange. It's like Rapture has been taken over by this Sophia Lamb character after the events of who seems to be creating more little sisters. And so Tenenbaum, the creator of Little Sisters from the first game, returns to Rapture and awakens you somehow, or something awakens you in order to sort of try and put a stop to them. So she, at the moment, is my guide into attempting to stop Sophia Lamb from creating more Little Sisters.
I see.
So that's the main plot of the game. You quite early on see some action from the big sisters, the sort of super nimble version, and you have a quick fight with one before she runs off, with one of the big sisters, and then that'll be a hard fight.
Yeah, I can imagine. So it has the kind of dual wielding now, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can hold. That's one of the major improvements, actually, is that. Holding a plasmid in the right hand makes it considerably easier to do the combo attacks that it suggested you did in the first game, but now you don't have to switch between them, which makes that so much easier.
Yeah.
The other, I don't know. Actually, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it yet. Is that as they've changed the hacking game, so it's considerably easier, which means it will be less tedious in the long run, because playing essentially like that pipe game did get a bit boring towards the end because you do it all the time. And now it's just like a little
game called the Pipe Mania or what?
Pipe Dreams.
Pipe Dreams, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And they've replaced it now with like a timing game where a little needle is on a gauge, and you just have to push it when it's in the green.
That's right. Apparently, there was a bit of controversy over that because you can't do that if you're colourblind, and quite a lot of people are colourblind.
Yeah, it's completely coloured. There is no pattern guide or anything, so you have to hit the greens or the blues. Avoiding the white and the red, and it works reasonably well because it adds a sort of tension, and you can only really unless you're super pro, you can only really hack whilst being stealthy, whilst no one sees you, because it doesn't stop time like it used to. You can only do it because it's in the game. It happens whilst you're moving around and things like that, and that is an improvement, to be fair. Although it does make the game harder again.
Yeah.
It just seems a bit ridiculous, and the bit I don't quite understand is that you're supposed to be one of the first series of Big Daddies, but you're wearing this ginormous diving suit, and yet you seem really, really fragile.
And you move around just as fast as any normal character in an FPS.
Yeah, pretty much. You seem to, like, a few bullets and your health is reduced to nothing pretty much in hard mode, meaning forcing you to use one of your precious health packs pretty soon after any fight you get into. Like, taking out one splicer with a gun at range can be a challenge because your gun that you get quite early on is quite inaccurate at range.
Right.
And what do? You can either sort of walk up to them, die on the way, or attempt to shoot them from long range with this shitty gun. Do
you have the drill then?
You do have the drill, and there is a control for something called the drill charge, which, as far as I can tell, is just a melee attack. It doesn't actually charge, because there are some of the big daddies in the first game sort of charge across the room at them, and using the drill does have some benefits because while you're drilling them, they can pretty much can't do anything to you, so you take them out of the fight while you're hurting them, which is quite nice. But you have to get right next to them to do it, and of course that means walking through a bullet storm. Right. But the things they have right is the styling is still brilliant. The water effects in places are pretty damn awesome. There's
a hallmark, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, they had a great. There's a great scene early on in the game where one of the little sisters breaks a big glass window into the ocean, and the room just floods. Awesome. And with a great sequence of the window smashing and all the water coming in, and just walking around on the seabed, whilst not particularly, there is no mechanics to it. It's just a sort of like little atmospheric thing. It's actually quite cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just little things like that make the game brilliant. Downside, I don't think they've improved their physics engine, which means that on the PC, the physics still runs at 30 frames per second while the rest of the game runs faster, which was my big gripe with the last one. It looks wrong.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of the atmosphere in the game, it's a bit of a flaw.
Because you wouldn't notice that because it'd be locked at 30, wouldn't it?
Yeah, on the consoles, you're not going to get this problem. On the PC, it's a bit of an issue. It's a bit off-putting because grenades move through the air with a sort of jerky action, and it's not so good. The first time you notice it is when you get one of the hacked security bots following you around, because that moves with the physics-based jerky action, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm picking, but it's when something stands out in the presentation, it can ruin the atmosphere, and this has the exact same issue that I didn't like with the first one in terms of that. So, yeah, but we'll see how it goes. I'll stick with it.
Okie doke. Report in again next time, I guess.
But
yes,
good news, and I think we talked about this a while ago, though. Maybe a podcast or two ago. Hot Pursuit, Need for Speed, now released on PC.
Sweet, so we can have those beautiful graphics in a slick 60 frames per second.
Let's hope. Apparently, the requirements aren't actually that crazy. You can run it fairly good at a silky smooth frame rate with relatively mediocre. Oh, excuse me. Really. Most machines will do it.
Yeah, but you guys will have no trouble with your.
Oh yeah, we'll be fine.
Beasts of Doom. Yeah, beast PCs. Okay, so that's your game.
So that just begs the question of whether we should really. And Racketeer, but I won't go over that really because Zach covered that in fairly good detail.
Okay. Just carrying on with your item shop tale.
Yeah, I'm 4.5 hours in now into that, so.
It's Rob's taken over Racketeer when I've taken over Torchlight again, because that used to be what he'd play at work during his lunch breaks.
You've passed the torch.
The torch passing of the Torchlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's almost beautiful.
Almost.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Discipline.
What? That was a kind of stereotypical Asian voice, isn't it? With the R.
I don't know why Zach
Zach
picking up on how I said beautiful just then as beautiful just reminded me of discipline. Don't know why.
Where's discipline from?
I was in a South Park episode where they actually just say discipline, and then the kids get confused and start calling it discipline for the episode.
I swear, like Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they're responsible for like the most prolific sort of ridiculous Asian voices, racist Asian voices.
Welcome to Shitty Walk.
Welcome to Shitty Walk, and of course, I'm Sean Romney. You know, that's them. Yes. That's them as well. Team America. Basically, it's all them. It's
Sean Romney. Sean Romney being it. No, I won't sing that again. We do that pretty much every week now.
They even make the joke about the slitty eyes, like in reverse, don't they? Where it's like on South Park, it's the Olympics or something in China or something, and they're taking the piss out of all the Americans for having these big oval eyes. It's really funny. It's like reverse racism. Well, that may have been the one where did they have the
surely reverse racism is like being nice to everyone of other races excessively.
Yeah, what positive discrimination?
Yeah. Oh my God, you're totally Asian. Bow. Here, have my wallet.
Though. That's not.
Oh no, wait. Yeah. Here, have my wallet. Stay at my house. Do you like my sister? It'd
be really strange if people saw you and because of the colour of your skin ran over and showered you with money or something. Oh my God!
Oh shit!
Quick, give them free food. Okay. Yeah.
But we just bought this for Christmas. I don't care. It's just what you do.
Give it to them. Oh dear. So, what have I been playing? I should probably talk about that before we start talking about this. Has already gone quite crazy and weird. I don't think we have been racist, but it's been quite borderline.
Well, yeah, that is typical. Like, if we're not racist, we're still very near to being racist.
Dancing around it for some reason.
Yeah, but a lot of modern comedy is based on dancing around racism.
I know, but that doesn't make it right.
I don't think modern comedy is actually based on dancing around it any longer. They've just gone back to straight
racism.
Yeah, they've just gone back to straight up racism.
Hasn't Frankie Boyle gone totally over the top lately? He used to be
apparently he's in a bit of trouble. Yeah,
and now he's just a dick. Yeah, basically.
Well, no, in fairness,
to disabled people, basically.
Well, yeah, in his defence, he's just.
He's not done that before.
I know he's not discriminatory in who he is discriminating against.
Yeah.
You know, he takes the piss out of every
equal
possible
opportunities.
Equal opportunity piss taking. Yeah,
but he's not though. Is he really? I don't know because he doesn't.
He takes a piss out of his own race quite a lot.
Well,
I don't think that counts. Because black comedians do that all the time.
Well, yeah, it's sort of the same thing. It's like self-racism, really. It's like, those Scottish people. It's like if I was to say, those English toffs. Or, technically, if I was a chav, I could make fun of chavs. Somehow that's okay. Although, even though you're technically being racist against yourself.
That's why it's okay.
I should be racist. Well, so technically that means I should be racist against the Suffolk-dwelling, gets confused for having an Australian accent type person.
I don't know.
That's a bit of a strange sort of stereotype to fill in there.
It's all dumb. I don't know how, because some of that stuff that dances around the issues is very funny, but I don't know. I don't really agree with the whole if you're Jewish, you're allowed to make Holocaust jokes thing. I don't think that's a good idea in general. Bad idea.
Are we past that? Or is it too soon?
Too soon.
I think we're never going to be past that, as in us on this podcast.
That's true.
Let's try to avoid Holocaust jokes if we can't avoid the racism.
We could probably safely draw a line there.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end that. Okay. So video games. What have I been playing? Oh, I finished Reach in Legendary on my own.
Oh, holy crap!
Yes, I did it. It was really satisfying. I got to the end and it came up with the achievement 2 for 275G. I was like, yes, because I got the the one for Legendary. And then
do it in Legendary. Do it in Legendary alone
on your own. Yeah, at the same time, of course. Yeah.
Is there a special ending?
No.
Ah,
I know.
I'm less infused on doing it now.
There wasn't in Halo 2 either, I don't think.
No, 2 didn't, because it had the cliffhanger.
But as we discussed before, we could never
anything.
fucking remember.
No, Halo 2 couldn't have an extra ending because it was that cliffhanger ending, so there was nothing really to add.
I'm sure we discussed this before, and I said that I wasn't sure about that, but I guess we'll see eventually. It's me and Rob playing through Halo 1 again. Lol.
Yeah.
So Reach doesn't
in
have...
Legendary. Well, I should have mentioned that, really. Yeah, I should have mentioned Halo 1 on our list, really, because me and Zach are still tackling that.
How is that in Legendary? The original. Is it hard?
No, it's hard in places, yeah. There's the odd fight, like what was it, where you're coming out of the control room after Guilty Spark. That's quite difficult. Yeah.
You have to kind of hide in that tower bit, that before the doors. Like, it's quite hard to.
There was the bit after that was a struggle, actually, where you go through that bit with the tower, and then there's the last open canyon where there's a couple of tanks and a couple of wraiths shooting at you, and there's two banshees you'll have to reach, but there's like 6 elites down there. There's a couple of invisible elites running around the entire area, and it's just it's a real bastard. And that mission is incredibly long anyway. It took us, I think that's the longest one so far, wasn't it? It took us like 2.5 hours.
I mean, it did take a very long time, particularly on that very last bit, because we checkpointed that over and over and over and just dying. Until eventually I just discovered that the tactic was apparently... Because we were already sort of jipping ghosts up there, because there was like a rock that you could ramp up. Because you were meant to jump up there, up this rock, up like a short cliff. But we were already jipping ghosts up there by sort of ramping off the rock and getting the ghost up. And then eventually I just discovered that apparently the way to do that is just to like... ram everything. Just don't try and shoot anything with the ghost. Just drive straight through over and over. Just like loop back, through and then out of range and then through, and then just keep doing that until you thin them down a bit.
And then we got in trouble because that triggers off the invisible guys to start running at you, and then by that point your ghosts are fucked. So you still have to do the last bit hardcore.
But it made it a bit easier. You sort of thin down the ridiculous number of elites that are there.
Well, mainly it's the little ones that are in trouble. No, there's no flood in that section. Or there is a tiny amount, but they get killed off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
By the I remember. They're a raid at the end of the canyon, right? And there's like 2 hunters, right, as well, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah.
I remember that bit.
Run them over.
Yeah.
Basically everything in the game thrown.
Oh yeah, and the invisible elites, and you have to kind of tempt them to come to you, the invisible guys, don't you?
Yeah.
Remember that?
It's like we couldn't work out exactly what the trigger was. It's like if you when we were running a certain number of the elites that were already there over, it like triggers a second spawn where it gets the invisible elites and a bunch more elites where the first group are.
Yeah.
They just seem to appear from nowhere.
Man, that is a hard
sort of annoying.
And then on Trooper Terrace, you've got those bits where you lose your shields and then you get attacked by sentinels, which is kind of annoying on Legendary.
Yeah. That wasn't so bad though.
Hide in the corner.
Yeah.
Hide in the corner. Yeah, I suppose.
Once you know where they
come from. Because if you have a plasma weapon, they go down pretty quickly.
Yeah, because that was my problem with that. It was the first one of those. I didn't have a plasma weapon, so I couldn't shoot the sentinels to kill them. And when Rob first triggered it, I thought the best thing to do would be to run to the door where we came in. But of course, that's where a ton of sentinels come in.
That's where some of them, yeah.
It's like, damn.
Yeah.
But it is fun. It is still fun. We'll give it that.
You had the rumor is that the first project of 343 Industries, who are the people taking over the Halo brands, might be to just remake the first game in the Reach engine and release it this time next year.
Oh, damn it. We should stop playing now.
Yeah, that
we
might
nearly
be
finished though.
Yeah. That might be their
what we
might
actually
be
have to
their
do
first,
just got to assault. We've got the
that wouldn't be
the
bad though, would it?
Again, haven't we?
Well, it'd be pretty cool. I think if they did that, I would probably buy that, to be honest. But I don't don't know.
Provided it wasn't a full game price. If it was £50, that'd be a bit of a rip.
I think that's a better option than it's a better option than I think they should let Halo die gracefully at this stage, or at least go out of fashion for a while, then bring it back a good few years in the future. I think they have to treat Halo with respect now because it is over, and if they start milking it now more than now that everything's finished, it would be
they're definitely not
considered too much. Really, they don't want to. Basically, we don't want to have Star Wars theorem.
I mean, if Halo 4 featuring Master Chief came out next year, it would be a disaster. I don't think. So this is fairly good news, I think.
Yeah.
If
they were going to do it, if they were going to carry on new projects, this is probably the best option they could have taken. And then maybe we'll see 2 redone as well. But
yeah, but we're kind of getting to the point with graphics where if you remake Halo, it's not as big a leap as it used to be.
No, true. Although Halo 1 is quite awful in places, and it's actually the biggest problem with Halo 1 is the frame rate issues. But
right, are you still having those on the?
Yeah, well, the emulation doesn't fix any of it. It runs it just like the original Xbox does.
Oh, I see.
It's not like the Halo 2 version where they tweaked the emulation so it would run at a higher res and things like that.
There is a reasonable port by Gearbox of Halo Combat Evolved onto PC, and you can run that at whatever res you like.
Yeah, it was weird though, that port though. No, because they left some features out, that made the first game they put in the first game for efficiency reasons. For instance, they took the Halo 1 doesn't have any animation interpolation, meaning that animations will only go to their keyframes. It doesn't smooth the motions between them. You can see that in some games where when things change between animations, they sort of slide to the new position awkwardly. It's like that's the interpolation kicking in, doing that for you. But Halo doesn't have any of that, and in the PC version, they didn't put that in. So even if your game is running at 60 frames per second on your PC, all the animation, similar to Bioshock, would run at the lower frame rate. So it would look a bit weird. Okay. So the only way to run Halo on a PC with any decency is to turn the lock at 30 frames option on. Which is again a bit weird because it makes it a bit strange on PC then. But basically it wasn't a great port.
It's a good game though, first Halo game.
Oh yeah.
And Reach is a really good game. I think it's the best Halo game since that first one for me.
Definitely. And, I don't know. I quite liked Halo 2, but yeah.
I mean, multiplayer obviously was great, but it was the first time they'd done proper multiplayer in Halo. But I really didn't like the single player in Halo 2. I didn't like the direction they did with the story. I didn't like the graphics. I thought they were worse in places because they had this thing. I mean, the effects.
They changed some of overall. Halo 2's graphics were better, but they changed certain effects. For instance, one of the big things they made a deal of was that they couldn't. In order to keep the game running smoothly with all the extra detail they put in, they had to get rid of proper normal maps. So Halo 1 is very heavy on normal maps, as in the things that change how surfaces are lit depending on the dynamic lighting going on.
Which looks great on like the ice and things in Halo 1.
Sure, and when grenades go off, even when you spawn in from a loading pause in co-op and stuff like that, and you get that yellow glow around you, everything reacts and looks great.
Yeah, it looks great.
But it's an enormous performance hit. Because they wanted more to be going on, and they wanted more variation and more things,
I see.
and a general improvement across all of the graphical features, including poly count, which is Halo 1's biggest downfall. The poly count is really low.
A lot of Halo 2 models have lower poly count than Halo 1 models, but they just had massive bump mapping all over them. So it looks, in their eyes, they said, "Oh, okay, we can get more detail with less polygons and get better performance." But I don't think they were. I saw this on a behind-the-scenes video at the time, and I'm like, I see what you're getting at, but you can't really get better detail with less polygons. You should at least keep the same amount and add bump maps. You shouldn't reduce.
Well, no, that was the thing. They replaced.
The models look really bad, I thought.
Yeah, the bump maps were the replacement to the proper normal mapping, weren't they? To make it.
Yeah.
So they.
It's not as good.
No.
But anyway, these are old games, so worrying about the graphics of them isn't. So, I mean,
true.
Reach is lovely looking, and it has this great alpha and stuff, and some of the the sort of smoky skies.
Reach is how Halo
look
3
really
should have looked in the first place.
Exactly. And it's the right resolution. It's really nice, Reach. It is how Halo 3 should have looked, yeah, exactly.
It's weird when you think about it, because they say this console generation was the HD generation, but it hasn't been really.
No, it hasn't. That's
it's like 720 most of the time, but that's not really a big jump up from what there was before.
It's really the next. I'm not saying that graphics need to leap forward, because I think they're really amazing as they are, but they need to run faster and in full HD. That's why you need a new generation of hardware.
Definitely.
Not to have a leap in graphics, but to have a leap in performance, really. Because I was thinking about award of the year for best graphics, but nothing this year has had as good graphics as Uncharted 2 last year. You know,
that's quite true.
Which is
yeah,
unusual in terms of the progress of technology.
Yeah, you're right. Probably there hasn't been much progress, because I can't say Black Ops is a very good-looking game, because it's not as good-looking as Modern Warfare 2.
I mean, they were really complaining about it on the PC Gamer podcast, because they were pointing out that Black Ops is running on the Quake 3 engine, and I thought, well,
is it really?
That's partially true, but if you look at it that way, you could just as easily say that Portal 2 is running on the Quake engine, because it technically is. Because it's amazing if you go on Wikipedia and look at Quake engine family tree. It's amazing how many games come off. Because I thought that Call of Duty 2 had a brand new scratch build engine, which is what they've iterated on since. But it turns out that was actually iterated on from the Quake 3 engine they were using for Call of Duty 1. So, which means that all the way up to Black Ops is still the Quake 3 engine, just iterated on.
Underneath, yeah.
And I found out that I thought Source was a brand new engine. Turns out that the reason it's called Source, and the reason the Half-Life engine was retroactively called Gold Source, was because they used version control, and they used Microsoft SourceSafe. So that's the same one I used at my work for version control. And what happened was they were going gold with Half-Life, and they needed to freeze that code, but they wanted to continue working on it for making Counter-Strike or whatever it was. So
I see. So it became then.
And they called the normal fork. The one they were continuing to change was the source code, and then the one that there was for Half-Life that they locked, they call it Gold Source because the game had gone gold.
So it was the
So that's why it's called the Source engine, because it's the source.
It was
code.
the source code they were playing with at the time,
and which was the Quake engine. So TF2 is running on the Quake engine. If you look at it that way, so them saying that Black Ops is running on the Quake 3 engine is technically correct. At the same time,
it makes you. Well, maybe that's why ID still survives, despite the fact they haven't really had a good game since Quake 3.
Yeah,
because they make so much. Unless they might actually still be making money off Source, is what you're saying there. Because eventually it comes down to a Quake back end.
John Carmack's code is in practically all those games, so they must be getting something out of that. And I'm sure he made loads of money out of Doom at the time, but he must still be making money to be able to fund his space program, his personal private space company. So I reckon, he must get mostly royalties from. And it's just his little company where he makes iPhone games now, isn't it? It's not. I mean, Rage, okay. But
Rage. There's a proper Rage coming out, and they're still. They have tried to push ID tech for several years without much. They haven't been able to stamp out the Unreal Engine, have they, in recent years? Because they did the whole thing with Quake Wars, where it was ID Tech 3, but built on. Oh, was that ID Tech 4? I don't know.
I think it was at least.
Where it has all the fancy lighting stuff and the Doom 3 engine and all that stuff, but introducing mega textures.
Yeah, they've been
have extremely large quality
textures. They've been harping on about mega textures for years. Literally.
And then when they put it into a game, no one uses it.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
as good as the tech may have been.
But yeah.
So I think ID just invent tech that no one is interested in at the moment.
Maybe they're.
Which might be a shame. Maybe Raid will change that, because if you think about it, if it is a splinter of the Rage engine running on iPhone and on iPad, that's pretty damn impressive for the hardware they've got to work with.
That's true, although Unreal are doing the same thing. I mean, that's pretty impressive that they've got that running really nicely on iPhone.
I still haven't looked at that, actually. Yeah.
They've just released the actual SDK, the
UDK,
stuff
yeah.
into the Unreal SDK. So now it's easy to make apps using that. Check that out. It's called Epic Citadel.
Okay, yeah. Did you see that that they've been doing? They've released tech demos of the next iteration of the Unreal Engine. It's still Engine 3 apparently, but they're sort of announcing, now it's easy to do things like daylight changes and even better water effects and foliage movement. It's just easy now, apparently.
Right. So tools and stuff. That's fine. Yeah. That's cool by me. So
we might see a bit of a bump in pretty much every game that's built on Unreal from now on.
Well, I've been playing.
Are they actually making a new version of Source for Portal 2? I mean, they said something like that, didn't they? But is it actually new, or is it just more improvement?
It's always more improvement. There's never
but I think at this point they kind of, surely that must be due to be a new, actual, proper iteration rather than just
I don't know
modifying the old one.
Well, do you consider episode 2 to be an iteration?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, probably it's just as significant.
But everything is increments. But I think what Zach's getting at is that although the increments are there, and you can, if you were to trace back through Valve's game history, you can sort of see them. Like, it still feels like Source, I think, is what, if you still want, if you wanted to make a game in something else, the engine would still look like Source. And maybe there are some limitations. Yeah, it's like
6-year-old game, but yeah.
Well, it's like Left 4 Dead 2 is definitely the best sourced-based game because it's got all the new features in it and stuff like that. But it still looks like Source, for better or worse. And maybe they need to do something drastic to get out of that, because
I don't know.
It doesn't.
It's pretty nice looking.
It's all right, but it looks. I don't know how to describe this. Everything it does looks like a game. Not like when you see a shot like Uncharted or some stuff built in Unreal.
Yeah, that's rather amazing.
You can make them look pretty damn gorgeous.
Still, I personally think that that engine, the Left 4 Dead 2 version of Source, probably looks better than Call of Duty Black Ops in terms of the
probably,
engine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not miles behind. It's just that Crysis 2 is just...
It's like when you think about things like Black Ops and stuff, actually how many effects are they using? Not a lot. Fairly low polygon counts, fairly low texture detail in places. The occasional lighting gorgeousness, yes, but the shadow effects can be fairly blunt. It's like, actually, in terms of what's going on in a Call of Duty game, its only sort of... redeeming feature is that there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Well,
that's why it looks good, is because there's lots of it, not because any particular one thing looks good.
I mean, if you take the Quake 3 engine, you could just destroy it with modern hardware. You could put a million objects flying everywhere, couldn't you? I mean, nothing's going to break a sweat, is it? Put a few smoke effects that you've developed in-house, and suddenly you've got a blockbuster game. I don't know. Anyway.
No, there's some logic to that.
There's logic to it, definitely.
As I say, it definitely worked. Black Ops is at times a great-looking game.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's but it's only at times.
My argument is that in general, I mean, like we were saying, like Halo to now, that kind of remake, just things tail off a bit, don't they, in terms of graphical technology? If you take a game 5 years ago and look at a game now. And then you take that 5-year-old game and compare it to a game that's 10 years ago, then
there would have been
the two newer ones are much more significant. Like,
the improvements are getting smaller, aren't they? Or it's kind of like any problem, though, isn't it? It takes the 80-20 rule or the 90-10 rule, depending on who you hear it from. It's it takes 90. It takes 10% of the time to do 90% of the job. So we're now into that 90% to finish off the last 10% of graphical awesomeness. But progress is slow.
One of the offshoots of this, one of the upshoot maybe of this, is that
to make your game look good graphically now, it's almost more important. The actual artwork is as important as the technical stuff, which is great because it means that because there's a nice baseline for graphics in general now, which is hard to almost fall below now if you have the Unreal SDK or something. It means that the work of your artists is much more, is at the forefront.
You can concentrate more on the style you're going for rather than having to worry about can you do it.
Exactly. There's some
sure, there are limitations you can work within, but you can work within them to make pretty much anything you want now.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a good place to be, but I still think it would be nice if everything ran just twice as fast on the console.
Yeah. I would be quite... I'm interested in the 120 hertz monitor, not because they're 3D compatible, but because it's 120 hertz, baby. It'll make everything look smooth and more real. It's like 60 frames. It's supposedly the limit you can see, and it's like that's just not true. You can see differences up to about 300 hertz, they reckon, and it's at 300 things look real enough.
Yeah, and
it's 60 frames is smooth because we consider it to be smooth because that's pretty much all we've ever seen. If you were to see if more material was available at 120 hertz or I've seen stuff running at 150, I think is the highest I've seen it, like proper video recorded at 150 being played out at that. And at that stage, things start to get awesome because the blur you see on screen is the blur of your eyes not being able to keep up, not the blur of the film. Things like that, or forced blur. And then then immediately that looks better than anything you could have done artificially.
Yeah, and then presumably if you just you watch that 150 hertz bit of video and then you watch a normal film at 24 frames per second, your brain goes,
and it's crazy. The difference is crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's been the standard since about the 1922 or something or earlier.
Yeah.
And now instead of changing the standard to make it nice and smooth, they make you put on stupid glasses instead. You're moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah, but that's the weird thing. TV and film actually has the opposite problem in that although it may look more real when you put it like that, it actually also makes it look more cheap.
Yeah.
There's a strange effect there. When you watch an American show or something like that, at the frame rate it's supposed to, it for some reason looks worse than if you watched it in the UK, even after all the weird conversion and stuff. It's like when you watch a live show on TV, there's a certain cheapness to how it looks compared to the sort of a properly recorded show. There's some difference in the camera technology being used, and it just looks wrong. Or home videos, for instance, that's a brilliant example. Home videos, the cameras may be shit, but they record at like high frame rates, generally, or they look like they do, and so you end up with this sort of smoother looking footage, but it actually looks cheap for some reason. It's a weird perception.
Yeah.
I think it's because we've got used to films looking this impressive at that speed that anything else looks crap to us.
I don't know what all the... I mean, with the film sometimes it's like you get much less depth of field because you get, obviously, each frame is exposed for such a shorter period of time. You can't get the... If you think of it like each frame is a photograph, if you want to take a photograph of a landscape, you expose it for like a whole second, don't you? And if you have to take 300 of those a second, you can't physically do that.
Well, you can sort of. There will come a point where it's not possible to detect it simply because of how many photons hit the sensor per second and things like that. But you're starting to go. But that number must be incredibly high, and it's all you need to really do is make more accurate, more sensitive sensors in digital cameras, and there you go, problem solved.
So anyway, I finished Halo Reach on Legendary.
Sorry.
It's okay. And we're running out of time. I have played a few games. I'm never going to be able to talk about them, but never mind. There's always next time.
We keep doing that to you. I do apologise.
That was good.
Next week you start.
Yeah,
that's
probably
what we always say.
Actually, no. Next week we might not be able to get to games, though, would we? Because it's depends on how we tackle the award ceremony.
Depends on if we play anything new this next.
I'll be playing Batman
through
in hard mode, to get
achievements
and stuff. Brilliant game. really nice looking in the Unreal Engine, with all Unreal Engine's faults of the occasional texture pop in and just general looking like the Unreal Engine. It's still a really nice looking game. It's not as nice looking as Uncharted, but it's probably nicer than most looking than a lot of games that came out this year. So anyway,
it was last year, wasn't it, Batman?
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it was because I put it before Christmas last year. But yeah, really good, and it's interesting because you need to get. It's weird how the health works. I should probably warn you in advance before you play it because it doesn't ever seem to explain how the health works. Because you kind of want to think it's regenerative, but you don't get any health until the fight's over. Until the fight's over. Okay. So.
Oh, it's this thing where if you're it's sort of health per section, so you get given. It only recharges once you've cleared an area. So if you're like the bit in the demo, do you remember where you've got the big area? You have to clear all the guys before you get your health back.
But that's not, because that's what you'd assume. But and how it actually works is, you get health based on the experience points you get. So the reason you get health back after a fight is because your experience points bank, but you don't necessarily get enough experience from that fight to refill all your health. And if you don't know that, then you think, oh, this is rather arbitrary. Sometimes it's giving me back all my health. Sometimes it's only giving me back half my health. Why is it doing that? And it never really explains. But the upshot is that it means that if you do the Riddler challenges, which are all these like collectibles and riddles that you have to solve, because you're the world's greatest detective, you're Batman, right? You get experience from those, and of course they'll regenerate your health just as much as experience from fighting dudes. So, and also that you level up and get upgrades. So that means that finding
basically make sure you do the side quests.
Yeah, basically they're not well, they are optional, but they are more important than just a little side thing, because they are actually a massive part of the game. There's loads of them. Every area has tons of these Riddler challenges. Some of them are like trophies that you have to find, which are just collectibles that you have to find that are hidden. And you have to find them using equipment and stuff and your detective vision and things. And then some of them are like you get a clue, which is a riddle, and like a little sentence. And then you have to sort of scan a part of the level, like I don't know, like a cell, say Two-Face's cell. They'll have a riddle that is like there are two sides to this problem or something, and so you'll see Two-Face's cell, which is obviously his cell because half of it is really neat and half of it is really fucked up, and it says vote dent, whatever. So you then hold down the left bumper in detective mode, and it'll scan it, and it'll say riddle solved, whatever. So, and that'll give you experience, and then so the experience will regen your health if you've lost any, and it'll also give you upgrades once you level up, which are quite useful. Like the first ones to get are health upgrades, and then increase your maximum health, and then it's like bonuses to combos in combat and upgrade your equipment as well. There's
presumably extra moves and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can like upgrade your batarang so that it does, so you can throw 3 of them at a time instead of just 1. And they knock people down for a longer period before they get back up. And there's other things like a sonic batarang, which will emit a pulsing sound that will attract guards, and so you can distract them. All kinds of crazy crap. It's great, but that's definitely worth bearing in mind. But there are loads of Riddler challenges. I've got about half of them, but that's like there are like 250 or something in the game. And so
you're making me want to play the game when I have Bioshock to play. Damn you!
It's a really good game if you haven't played it. But it is what it is. It's not, I don't know. The thing about it is it's very gamey. If you compare it to like Uncharted 2, it's more video gamey. Especially, obviously the hanging around in the gargoyles. It's like, why don't they look up? Well, the truth is they do look up sometimes, but they have to be standing right underneath the gargoyle and look up. They can't just look up and see you in the rafters from anywhere, because otherwise it'd be impossible. But
it's basically video game stealth, isn't it?
It's video gamey, but that doesn't stop it being great. But I'm getting towards I'm actually at the end now in terms of the story in hard mode. I have to fight the Joker, but some of the fights at the end, I'm doing it in hard mode, and I would say
depending on how you look at it, it's harder than Halo on Legendary mode.
Yeah, really?
It's pretty well, some of the fights are... There's bits... Once you get used to the combat, it's really fun. But the trouble is that they throw in an extra element always. Like there's the knife guys I told you about, and then the baton, electric stun baton guys. But then later on, you get these Titan henchmen who do this... Titan guys, who are these big, chargy dudes. You know, they charge at you and you hit them and dodge to the side and then they run into a wall. It's that kind of video game thing, right? You know, fairly obvious. But then they put that in with a bunch of normal blokes who you have to try and fight normally at the same time. So you're trying to build your combo and then roar, and then charges towards you and you get knocked over. And it's just really frustrating because that fight at the end is in quite a small space and, well, just before the end. And it's quite long. There's a lot of enemies, and of course you don't get any health back until it's finished. So it's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. And now I'm at the very end. You have to fight a whole bunch of guys, and there's 2 of those Titan henchmen in the throne room of the Joker. But at least it's a bigger area, so I have some confidence that I'll be able to do it. And then there's the final boss battle. But before that, there is an actual, almost normal boss battle, which is really strange. It's like a boss battle from Metroid Prime or something, where you have to fight Poison Ivy. And it's the only bit that's like that in the whole game. It's really weird, because you're on a platform that moves left and right in front of a big monster in front of you. You know, almost classic.
Oh, I see. The monster sort of stays still, you mean?
And you move from left to right. Well, that's what you think. And of course, the monster then does an attack that hurts only a part of the area in front of you. So the area in front of you is divided into 3 parts, and you have to move to the part that isn't being attacked. You know, boss battle.
Yeah.
But actually, it makes it easier if you think of the area as a big round area, rather because it's tempting to think of it as a left-right and that you should dodge left and right. But in fact, in order to avoid the projectiles, it's much easier to run in a big wide circle instead. It took me a while to figure that out. Yeah.
But treat it like a radial environment, so
that makes it easier
around the center point.
Yeah, exactly. But you're always looking fixed direction into the big plant monster death thing. Anyway. I was getting frustrated by that in hard mode, but... so
you recommend, by the sounds of it, you recommend playing it in, is it normal, before you tackle hard? Because hard
yeah,
is
definitely play it in
hard.
normal, especially because it gives you the counters indications. But, yeah, I would normally start with normal on any game, really, and only if I really liked it would I play hard. But that's just me, I suppose. But I'm glad I'm doing it in hard just to get this, because I ought to be able to get all the achievements for this game once I get through, because as I'm going through them, I'm unlocking the challenge mode maps, and I've been doing the fighting ones, because there's 2 challenge mode modes. There's the punchy, fighty ones, I don't know what they're called, and then there's the predator challenges, which are the gargoyle. So every area where there's the gargoyles in the game, those stealth areas, is also a challenge room map, and you have to do it as fast as you can or something, or you have to do it without ever being seen, or I don't know, there's little sort of achievements attached to those, so you do those. So once I've done all of those, then I'll have all the stuff. And yeah, so that's Batman. And the only other game I played the demo of Super Meat Boy.
Oh shit, yeah.
And that is fucking amazing. Have you played that?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh my god, it's incredible. I mean, it's basically N.
Yeah.
Don't know if you ever played that.
Yeah, the Ninja Jumpy game.
Just mental. Oh my god. And I'm definitely going to buy it. But I can't decide. I might buy it on PC because I think, although the controls are really tight on the gamepad, I still think because it's such a precise game, it might be nicer to play on the cursor keys on a PC.
Maybe. Or you could always use the gamepad on a PC. So
wait until the April January Steam sales and then get it for cheap.
Exactly. So I might have to get it on the Steam sale. It's not very expensive, even in normal price. It's like £12 on Steam, I think. But,
yeah, it has gone down to 8, I think, at some points.
It already had one sale.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that game's amazing! I mean, the key thing that makes it brilliant is that when you die, the time between you dying and starting again is so short. It's like there's no time to be frustrated because you're immediately starting it again.
Yeah, and the great thing is you die constantly, and the meat blood of your guts that's destroyed by the saw blades or whatever, that persists between lives. So no matter how many times you die, eventually you will have caked the level with your blood, basically, and you will die over. Obviously, that's the key part of the game, is just dying over and over again. But somehow, I don't know how they make it not quite so frustrating. I think it's because the levels that I've played so far in the demo they're really short, and you could just go over and over and over again. And I will report back once I've played the full game. We're running out of time here. It's about 2 minutes now.
It's the same kind of thing as that when I was talking about V and how you die and you just instantly respawn.
Yeah, it's just like that. Genius. All games, I know it's impossible because of loading times, but any game of that frustrating type that can reduce the time between, oh god, I've crashed my car and burn out into oncoming traffic and I'm never going to win this race, to starting again. Reduce that time to nothing.
In Burnout, they want the dramatic crash camera.
Yeah, that's true, but...
Yeah, but no, I think what Dan means, like, I hate games that when you have to restart, then they have to reload.
Yeah.
Right. And that's all I've been playing, and we now have 30 seconds. Sorry to cut off your argument.
What happened? I thought we had 2 minutes.
We did have 2 minutes. I said 13. It was on 13, and now it's on 14:41. So we now have...
Oh well, wrap this up.
15 seconds. Thanks for listening, and join us again next week for our...
Award ceremony.
Happy Salad, Game of the Year 2010. And Merry Christmas.
Jingle bell.